You're now listening to N21FM, a Pokemon podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Seaman, and I'm joined today by good friend and new addition to the local group of playtesters, Jonathon Roth. Welcome to the show, buddy. How are you?
How's it going? Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to have you on. We've had a couple of really interesting games, and I'm excited to get kind of your story as a player and your insight into like the state of the game, what's coming up soon, and kind of where we're at now too. Before we get started into all of that, though, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm just a, I don't know, late 20s dude who's been kind of out of card games in general for a few years, and got back into Pokemon recently. It's been a lot of fun. But outside of that, just work a normal desk job like anyone else. And make maps for a living.
Nice. That's super cool. You said you make maps. You're like a cartographer.
Kind of. I do utility mapping. We've got field teams that collect data out in the field, and I take that stuff and plot it up in software and send it off to engineers for them to use.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. You said you've been out of the card game scene for a while now. Were you playing a lot of card games for a while in the past?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I mean, pretty much I think from like 6 years old onward, I was playing a lot of like kitchen table, like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. Kind of throw your own rules around sometimes with your friends because you don't really know. Absolutely. And you're not really understanding, and I wasn't really trying to do too much outside of just that. So I didn't know any better. I kind of was like collecting Pokemon slightly younger than that when I just got introduced to like the cards and everything by a family friend, and was kind of gifted a collection of cards that unfortunately nice. I sold off. Yeah.
Tale as old as time.
I know. Sometime around like the mid 10s. I want to say 2015, 2016, while I was in college, and looking to fund like not even anything amazing. I think I was just gonna try to have money available to like go drinking or something.
I totally get that. And when you're in college, that seems like the most appropriate response ever. It's like, I could use a beer. I've got all these Pokemon cards I don't use. Let's get rid of this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then come to find out, you probably had a small fortune.
Oh my god.
Piled up in there somewhere.
I know for a fact there was some stuff in there that whoever got it from me, I hope that they are either saving it still, or that they have made a sizable amount of money off of it, because there was a lot in there that's definitely worthwhile. Off the top of my head, there was a pretty decent I want to say, I can't remember what set it was from. It was either, I mean, it's one of the first three, but it was Hollow Machamp. It was first edition, for sure. First edition Hollow Machamp.
Nice.
Yeah. So stuff like that.
Yeah, man. That's just a canon event for all Pokemon players. Is like at one point you had just heaps of really sick cards, then got rid of them for one reason or other. Man, I should have never done that. Awesome. Have you played other card games besides Pokemon? You said you dabbled in like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, right?
Yeah. So I
did you ever like
Yu-Gi-Oh a bit when I was a kid? No tournaments. Again, just kind of messed around, kitchen table stuff. But I'd say like we did stuff with like elementary and middle school, and I usually had pretty good decks going for both of those. I would usually run like a couple of like different things mishmashed together. I think my favorite was like a zombie deck or something that I ran, and it was pretty sick. Zombies were cool, so that deck was a lot of fun. I know it was like a structured deck first, and I kind of did it and messed with it.
Nice.
Got some other fun stuff added in.
Very cool. Is it just Yu-Gi-Oh that you played? Did you ever dabble in Magic or anything like that?
No,
That's about.
I'm familiar a little with Magic, but not enough, not a ton.
Gotcha.
And at this point, I feel like probably just not gonna learn. So I think
I
I'm
can
gonna stick
totally
with
get that.
Pokemon. You know,
I think that's a safe choice. It's the most affordable card game on the market right now.
exactly.
And there's Pikachu's in there. You can't be mad at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they're a a lot of them. In fact, there's so many. In fact, we were about to go over this in the pre-show. We were talking about like looking at the new set list on Justin Basil, and there's just all the cards that got revealed for the upcoming Terrastal Festival. And there is yet another, as if we needed another one, yet another Pikachu EX
Yep.
in here from the EX Starter Decks Generations thing.
Yep.
And that is because now we've got that one, we've got the Terra one, we've got the old Pikachu EX from I don't know what set. We've got the Battle Academy Pikachu EX. We've got the Pokemon Pocket Pikachu EX. There's so many. They love that guy. That it is.
Yep.
It part of me is like, are they strapped for cash right now? Because they're printing a lot of like the money guys at the moment.
Oh yeah. No, there
yeah.
There was a person I knew back at my old game store that they collected like Pikachu. You know, that was their thing. Their goal was one Pikachu from every single set that's ever dropped, every single possible promo, anything like that. You know, it's definitely something that they were still working on for sure, because like they didn't have any ponchos or anything like that. But but you know, I was like, that's pretty admirable to like try to collect every Pikachu.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many. There's more. There's got to be more Pikachu cards than any other card, right? Actually, is that knowledge? What is the most commonly printed Pokemon card? I gotta know. Is there like... Holy... That's crazy! Oh, that's 8 years ago. Okay, so 8 years ago, if you didn't count reverse hollows in different languages, Pikachu had 106 different printings 8 years ago.
That's insane.
Like, that's not even modern standard. So, like, what is
That's crazy.
Oh my goodness. More 3 years ago. Here's a more updated one. Oh, wow. There's apparently like 487 Weedles. Or something like that. I don't... That seems not true. But like...
Heavily desired Weedle card.
Yeah, true. I guess so. Max rarity Weedle. Yeah, lots of Pikachus out here. Oh my goodness. What were we even talking about? Sorry, I got sidetracked.
Oh, good. But yeah. So Pokemon is pretty much.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's right. We were talking about your experience with card games and stuff.
Yeah. You know, I'm super happy with my experience so far. Yeah.
Nice. Did you ever play like any of the Pokemon video games as well, or were you just okay? Sweet. Did you start with the video games probably?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think I think my first foray was again with like, you know, family friends or something like that. So an older kid in the family, and you watch them play like, you know, red or yellow or blue, you know, something like that. I think I watched them play red a little bit.
Nice.
Let me kind of try a hand at a yellow version they had on their other Game Boy Color or something like that. And, you know, it was like no clue what I was doing.
Yeah, no, of course.
You know, so you know that was I mean that was like 4 or 5 at the time. Couldn't have been much older than that. So I think my first like actual foray into playing a Pokemon game by myself, like, all the way through, was probably Sapphire.
Nice. It's a good title.
I started on Sapphire, like actually all the way through, and just went from there. I mean, Sapphire, Ruby, Emerald, loved Gen 3. Waterworld's amazing. You know, it's such a fun generation.
Yeah, I like Gen 3 a lot.
And then,
did you ever play the remakes?
I played a little bit.
Oros was so good.
By the time that came out, by the time that came out, I was in college at the time, and I didn't have quite as much time for video games in general.
Yeah.
And especially like I just wasn't like handhelding much anymore because it felt like something else. I had to keep track while I was in college. Stuff like that. I had like issues with like I had shit stolen when I was in college, from my room, and so stuff like that like sketched me out, and I just
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I can't imagine you want to, being in college, like money is tight, you don't want to have like a 3DS and then some asshole steals it.
Yeah,
it's like, well, now what?
Yeah, exactly. So I left that stuff at my parents' house, and then before that, I played a little. Like I played by a little, I mean like 2 hours, 3 hours of like X, and put it down. I did not enjoy the little bit that I played from X. I felt very handheld, very just not not thrown into it the way that like previous generations did, especially like coming from like Black and White and Black and White 2, and playing through what were probably the best story wise and also some of the best like difficulty wise. Some of my favorites just come out of that generation, and they're you don't think that any of them will ever be your favorites, and then you look at the designs and you're like, oh wow, these were cool. These were
fire.
So
looking back at it, I cannot believe they gave us like Zoroark and Excadrill and also I didn't even realize until recently, I freaking adore Scolopede's design.
It's so cool.
Whoever thought of just like Centaur Bug, get a raise. You deserve a raise. That design rocks. It just looks so imposing and strong, even though it's a bug. I freaking love that guy.
Oh man, I mean,
there were some insane bug types in Gen 5, like Galvantula.
Yeah,
rocks.
Galvantula.
Oh dude.
Oh my god, Larvesta.
Larvesta and Volcarona.
Yeah,
incredible.
So cool.
Oh my goodness,
take, man. I was saying, hot take. People will clown on like Garbodor and stuff like that.
I love Garbodor.
Garbodor's such a fun concept. It's just garbage ripped out of a trash bag.
Yeah,
man.
It's also canonically a cat. Fun fact.
Really? I didn't know that.
There was I think it was like a playmat that Pokemon produced that was like cats of Pokemon or whatever, and Trubbish was on there.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
sure. I think Trubbish and Garbodor are cool
Garbodor are cats.
for like object Pokemon type things. Like I don't understand, like people will clown on designs and stuff like that. And I guess that's part of like a bigger conversation, but like, why are you clowning on a garbage bag? Like, it's another object. It's better than a sphere or like a Pokeball. I guess
people wanted to say, I remember the discourse around the time was people said, oh, well, Gen 5 is just copies of Gen 1 designs or Gen 1 ideas. And it's like, okay, but like a garbage, like sentient garbage is cooler than literally just a pile of purple goo.
True. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not wrong. I'll fight anyone on that.
No, exactly. Muck is mid. A Alolan Muck.
Oh yeah.
Very cool.
Regular Muck,
not so much.
I like the Alolan Muck idea.
Alolan Muck reminds me of like Play-Doh or like kinetic sand.
I always got so because I didn't play those games, I always got like oil slick from it. I don't know if that's supposed to be the thing for it or not, but I always got oil slick.
Or actually, you know what it reminds me of? I forget what it's called, but they used to, like early 2000s, they would give you like those necklaces at like the beach, and it was like a little plastic container, and you could put a bunch of different colored sands in it.
Yes.
And make like a little design, and that's what it reminds me of.
I get that. I see that. Okay.
I think it's cool. But yeah, no, like I think it's cool that Gen 5 had so many interesting designs. Were some of them like very original 151 coded in the sense that like they're only a little different?
Yeah.
Maybe. But like we also got like Crocorock. We got like also
so cool. That whole line is cool.
Yeah. And also Fungus and Amoongus are a way cooler take on like the Pokeball mimic premise.
Yes.
Like,
and
sure.
like the mushroom Pokemon idea.
Yeah,
Like
Absolutely.
better than Paris and Parasect. Again, just
Yeah.
cooler.
Yeah.
Just cooler.
For sure.
But yeah. Gen 5 was pretty much the last games that I really like fully played through.
Gotcha.
Like I said, Gen 6, I felt too handheld. I tried auras, and I played through some, and I just kind of stopped halfway through. It still just didn't have quite the same feel that like Gen 3 had when I was growing up, and I don't know if that was just me changing, if that was the game, if it could have been both,
Hmm.
but yeah, that was where I was, and then I just kind of stopped with Pokemon for a while, sort of. One thing I did still for a little while after that, for a few years at least, was Gen 4 stuff, specifically with like Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
Okay.
I loved those remakes, and
Yeah.
so for a while, one of my favorite things was doing various trade events and things like that, and trying to get as many things as I could, and
Hmm.
then doing the ever fun idea of like, let's get the most evolved version of a Pokemon we can at like the lowest possible level, and then get like a team of those into the game and just go like all gas through it and see how it goes, with like
Ooh.
this uber built low level team. So like, like a level 2 like Gliscor or something like that,
Okay.
something like that. I remember the first time I did that, I did it with like a full EV team, I think minus Flareon, because Flareon gets all the hate and is kind of terrible.
Yeah.
It could have been minus Glaceon though, because I also hate Glaceon.
What? Why do you
Yeah,
hate
yeah.
Glaceon?
I don't know. I
That's
don't
my girl.
know.
She's got the bang. Nope, that's Vaporeon. Where's she at?
No, I hate I hate Glaceon for some reason. I don't know why.
That's so sad.
Leafeon is my favorite. Leafeon's absolutely the best.
Leafeon is the goat, in fact. I love
Like
Leafeon.
Leafeon just looks the coolest. It's literally just a tree cat. Like
Yeah.
can't complain about that. But yeah. So I would do stuff like that for a little while, and then yeah, I think after maybe 2018, 2019, kind of finishing up college and just life, things happen, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And I just kind of drifted away from Pokemon for a while. I still enjoyed it, the ideas and all, but pretty much left it behind. And then yeah, last year actually, I just kind of got back into stuff really. I think
Nice.
it was about right after Obsidian Flames dropped actually over
Oh
the
gosh.
summer
I'm
last
sorry.
year.
What a terrible time to join the game.
It was right around that time that I started back in,
Hmm.
and I was looking for I was looking for something to fill the card game itch, because um I have put in, just on a single platform, 300 hours on Slay the Spire,
Oh
and
wow.
on other platforms, because I have, I pay
Yep.
for everything. I have bought the game 4 different times on 4 different things total.
I get it. I get
And
it.
I've put in those hours on all of it basically. So
Wow.
yeah, like 300 hours, hitting like highest difficulty on every single character and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
And just, I was like, I still love the game, I'll still play it, but I was like, I want another card game. I want another card game to scratch the card game mission. I was like, well, I kind of want competitive, and I wanted to see, was like, I don't really want to do Magic because that's going to be learning something new, and I was like, I don't really want to do Yu-Gi-Oh because I stopped playing that because of synchros and all that stuff.
Hmm.
I was like, I want something that is familiar a little bit. And so I
Yeah.
looked into Pokemon, and I was like, well, I kind of understand Pokemon, and I want to see if there's something here. And I saw there was a new online thing with live, and I'd seen that like apparently uh, PTCG online was a thing for a while, and I'd
Yep.
been missing out. But I was just like, all right, well, let's start our foray into live and try this out, and just started in, and it clicked right away, and
Nice.
I had a blast. I had a blast for quite a few months. I was playing I started just kind of not understanding a ton about the meta, and just kind of like, all right, let's just use like a pre-built deck for a while and see where we go. And
Yeah, I was
so,
gonna ask, what was your first deck you played?
oh man, Luna Rocks, dude. That deck
Nice.
is so fun.
That
Seeing
deck is
for
so sick.
like, it took me. I mean, I picked up on things real quick. So, like the two prize versus one prize stuff, and then I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like prize trading, and I'm able to get like meaningful KOs with this deck. I can use Pokestop and not really worry too much about what's getting like discarded.
Right.
And I can get stuff back onto the board, back into my hand that I want. There's not a ton of supporters that I need to rely on, just research.
Yeah.
Iono occasionally and boss occasionally when needed,
Mm-hmm.
and then just kind of went from there. And then I think about the time that 151 kind of like 151 had just dropped, and then what was it? Paradox Drift was coming, and so I kind of seen the stuff about Paradox Drift, and so then I started paying attention to the meta. I was looking on like like the subreddit and everything, and just trying to like check out what are my resources, what can I try to do to like get better and actually like be competitive at this on this app, and so I started picking up we started trying out decks, started farming and crafting and stuff like that with the dust and the crystals to Shadow Rider, farm and all that. Hey, it's
classic Shadow Rider farm.
4,200 credits is nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's pretty good,
especially.
Yeah.
And so I ran that. I ran other decks for a while. I think I got really into kind of some off meta stuff. I really was like forcing Meowscarada to work for a while.
Yeah.
And then
it's a good deck.
The deck that clicked for whatever reason was Hisuian Zora Star.
That deck is sick.
And I love that deck. And so played with it for a while, and then I was like, okay, this is cool online. What's next?
Yeah.
I want to play with real people. I want the social aspect now. It's not enough to just sit here and do it by yourself, staring at a computer screen, and that feels very dystopian. At a certain point, you're just like, all right, click through it all. Let's broaden our horizons with it. And so I looked for some. So for reference, I was living in Tampa, Florida, last year. So I was like, let's look for some game shops in Tampa. Let's look for some ones that have Pokemon events, and I used like Pokemon thing and everything, and then just found a league night at one that works perfectly for me. It was like right on my drive home from work, so I could just go once a week in the middle of the week and play and have fun. I decided, okay, well, I've been enjoying the Zora deck. Let's build it, right? Let's build it for real. It's like $20. At the time, at least, it's probably still pretty similar right now.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap right now. Well, the current version plays like Noctowls and stuff, so it's a little more expensive, but still.
Yeah. It's a little pricey if you include that and like ace specs and stuff like that.
Right.
Ace specs weren't there at the time. But yeah, like it was like, okay, well, this is cool. Like let's build it out. It's $20. This is cheap. This is a good way to play it. And I went to this league and just met a bunch of fun people and clicked right away, and I had a blast. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I've stuck with it since then.
Very cool. Oh wow, that's incredible. So, did you ever play? Not to double back too much. Did you ever play VGC at all, like competitively?
No, I never really did. I followed a little bit of like what was good in VGC, what wasn't good in VGC, but never really played too much beyond just playing the video games.
Gotcha.
I knew about it, but yeah.
Do you remember your first like major event in the TCG, whether it was like a regional or like a cup or challenge?
Yeah. So it was kind of weird. It was so when I was playing the TCG, I started at the beginning of like this year in January.
Gotcha.
So it's been 11 months of like in person,
Oh, it has been 11 months. That's crazy.
And I didn't really understand like cups or challenges or anything like that. So I knew there were like some nights that were like more important, obviously, and that's when I started picking up the challenges and everything. And then the first cup that the store held, I just wasn't able to go to. Like the first cup that I was available to play, or that I after I'd started playing the Cup of Hell, I wasn't able to go to, and so I was like, okay, well, we'll just try for the next one. And so the next one ended up being the Twilight Masquerade Cup. So that was or the cup right before Twilight Masquerade.
Gotcha.
For Temple Forces, and so that was like in May, and it was that was a fun one because the cup was held on the same day as a special event in Puerto Rico. It was also the store's release for Twilight Masquerade, and
Gotcha.
so I was like expecting, oh, okay, this is going to be a huge cup. Rolled up, and I'm one out of 6 people there.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm one out of 6 people, including I think 2 seniors. So
Oh man.
yeah, this cup, and I mean it was I decided, because when I realized like, oh, there's not a lot of people here, I just rocked with kind of a cheesy for fun list. I was like, I wasn't planning on doing like regionals, and obviously because I'd started halfway through the season, I wasn't aiming for like a fit or anything like that. So I was just like, let's have some fun, and did my my Arc Armor build at the time.
Nice.
I love that deck, but yeah, it was cool, and I went 2-1 for it. First cup 2-1.
Yeah, sure.
It's cool, and then I managed to make Arc Armor Rouge beat a Lugia deck
Nice.
at the time. So
that was tough to do back then.
That felt really good.
You were playing with
really
Rayquaza. Was that pre-rotation with Rayquaza VMAX?
No.
Okay.
No, that was because that was current rotation. That's
got you.
F
That's
block.
yeah,
F block
yeah,
onward. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So, yeah, no, it was a ton of fun, and then I got to because there was such a small cup, there was plenty of time afterwards, so I was able to grab a bite to eat and then sign right back up for the pre-release.
Sick.
And then, just go from there. So yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Very,
that was
very nice.
Like I said, that was the first cup, and then I guess like really and truly the first real cup that I went to, because I wasn't able to go to a Twilight Masquerade Cup because I was traveling at the time.
Yeah.
Ended up having my first real cup here in Charlotte. So
nice. Very cool.
And
have you been to a regional yet?
No regionals yet, and I'm hoping that the next like announced one will be somewhere nearby. Either or
I really hope
down.
We get Charlotte again.
Yeah,
I'd be so bummed if we don't get Charlotte.
If we don't get Charlotte, I'm hoping for at least like somewhere in Florida, because I can like
we'll probably get people. Tampa or like Orlando.
Orlando would be good. Tampa
we always have at least 2 or 3 big East Coast regionals. Mm-hmm. I'd be really surprised if we didn't get like a big either I think there should be a Florida one confirmed, I think. But I'd be surprised if we don't get like another really close by middle of the West Coast or East Coast type of tournament, because that's just my favorite time of year. Charlotte Regionals has been like Christmas for me, low key, because I'll get so excited. I'm like, all right, I get to go. This is my hometown. I get to go in, and it's like, this is where I'm from. I get to go and kind of like represent my city, and I always bomb like I do terribly, but I'm also like, I haven't had a lot of time to really get competitively good at the game. I haven't been playing. I started playing around like Astral Radiance.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've only been playing like 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years and some change. But like it's so cool to like go up and just be like, this is so fun. And I think especially with the group that we've got right now, it'd be really cool to go and just like hit up Charlotte Regionals now that we've kind of like had time to develop groups of players within like the larger group overall.
Yeah. For sure.
So you've got a lot of history with Pokemon, man. That's really, it's cool to hear. A lot of people who I'll have on will have like really, they'll say they've got like history with the game, but they'll kind of like leave it at that. And I really like how you seem like really attached and invested in so much, many facets of the game. I think it's great.
It was my favorite franchise when I was a kid. I mean, I remember seeing like Pokemon 2000 in theaters. Like
Okay,
that kind of that's like my level of
gotcha.
attachment. Like I loved it as a kid. And even now, it's still just such a fun concept. Nothing else comes close. And I know like part of that's just because like the Pokemon Company doesn't want anything else to come close,
Right,
and it's their right to do that. I get that because they wanted
dude.
to bend that idea.
Yeah,
But
it's their
you
lightning in
know,
a bottle, man. Like I know, technically speaking, I think Digimon did come first,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
I think so. But
man, it was the rough draft, and we all know it.
yeah,
Like
like
this
Pokemon
IP
just
is just so sick.
Pokemon is just the it's just the sauce. It's the thing that captured the mid '90s onward, and
Mm-hmm.
suddenly you have God, I mean we're nearly 30 years later or something like that, and
Jeez, yeah.
you know
Ugh.
yeah
That's so crazy to think about. But like, you're right, because we just celebrated. I think the 25th anniversary was this past year or the last year.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
which is huge. Like 25 years of this game. There's a lot to do in 25 years.
Oh yeah.
Now, I gotta ask, do you have you've got such a long and varied history with the game? What is, if you had to pick like a favorite, be it from like an adventure you've had in the video games or like a deck you played or anywhere in between that like you didn't expect to be your favorite but became one of your favorites because of like something weird or just a deck you played, like you got attached to it over time?
Um. Yeah. 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 I think the one that I got attached to the most, and that was the most fun to just have as a thing in the games was Porygon Z. I
Nice.
it was just
It's a good
it
choice.
was such a cool Pokemon. I remember the one that I had in I had one that I used for another one of those Heart Gold runs. Just have some like cracked out level, like whatever Porygon Z, as low level as possible, and then
Hmm.
just go from there. And just everything was so cool about it. It was,
Yeah,
it looked weird. The color design on it, so I mean, like
it's such a
the
kooky little guy.
pink and blue like design, is
The
straight
like,
out of the '90s, and the
yeah,
look and all of it is so cool. The weird idea, and then and then on top of that,
it's very printer cartridge
it
coded.
was it was kind of wild too in like the game. Um, it had like an ability that what was it? Adaptability, I think was the
Yep,
ability or something like
adaptability.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where it like just read the highest stat of or the highest attack stat of whatever it was up against, and it's like, oh, or no, 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 the lowest defense stat. That's what it was. Sorry, right. Reads the lowest defense stat, whether it's defense or special. Um, and then it's like, okay, well, the thing has lower special defense, it raises this thing's special attack.
That's so
And then if
hype.
it has lower defense, it raises the attack. So like Porygon Z has a okay attack stat, but it has an insane special attack stat. So like
Yes.
you basically just build out for like lasering something, and then put it up against a bunch of like slow bulky threats that can't handle like an ice beam, and watch them just get obliterated by it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my favorite from the games. And then I think more recently, playing the card game, I came to really, really like the Shark Cadet Armor Rouge Cerule Edge line,
Yeah.
and that was out of like
Those guys are so
seeing those.
sick.
Oh, this it's just such a cool design. It's
It's
one of
one of the
those
most
Pokemon that's
anime
like a
designs that
dude.
they've
Oh
made.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh
Like
yeah,
it's very, very much just like this is a Power Ranger. Like
yeah. Oh,
and
100%.
it's sick. It's so cool. Like anything that has swords for hands, I'm there. Like
Knives for hands.
knives for
The
hands,
other
guns for
one is like
gun's.
gun. Yeah, it's Mega Man. It's Mega Man.
It's Mega Man and it's Zero as well because Zero's got
Yeah,
the blade
yeah.
that rocks. They even got the same little helmet. It's so cool.
It really is just that. It is the most anime. Yeah, like you said, the most anime design. The most it's just cool. It's just cool,
Yeah.
and seeing it not only like be a cool design, but also functional in such a
Mm-hmm.
unique way.
Yes.
Because after seeing that, I was like, okay, well, I saw like the Arc Armor Rouge decks. I'm like, I've got to mess around with this, and then
Yeah.
oh man, I don't remember the player's name, and I feel bad about that, but there was an Arc Armor Rouge deck that was played at the Malaysian regionals or special event from the previous season, and it was a 30. It wasn't Arc Armor Rouge, but it was a 32nd place Armor Rouge deck that did Chi Armor Rouge, and oh my god, it is the coolest idea because Chi EX basically has this attack for 2 fire energy.
2 fire you accelerate, right?
Yeah, you get to pick 3 Pokemon on your side of the board, and then accelerate 1 fire energy out of your deck to each of them.
Yeah,
and then the deck itself just runs off of that, and then runs off of like you do something like 8 to 9 fire, just kind of depends on how you're optimizing it. But yeah, 8 to 9 fire, and then 4 luminous. And because the baby Armor Rouge has that fire off ability that says, okay, well, you get to move 1 fire energy from stuff. Because it doesn't specify basic, you get to move luminous energy around as long as there's only one luminous on one thing, and you can move it to something else. And that's so cool because then you get like, you open up Iron Hands possibility, you open up I mean, at the time I was playing it like Wellspring Mask Ogre Pond, like those were like the 2 biggest ones. And then you could even, if you wanted to, I mean, because the deck ran off of like, you got Magma Basin in it, you throw a Monkey Dory in there. Now you've got Monkey Dory, you can go luminous energy attached to Monkey Dory, Magma Basin, bounce, energy off of something, and then go, okay, fire off, move luminous and 2 other things onto something else or whatever, and then just
Holy
suddenly
smokes.
It's the
That's
coolest
so
idea because
cool.
there's a bunch of just moving parts, and you're not
it's a very high
you're not
APM
thinking
deck.
about it until suddenly you're like, oh, this is so involved. And I just remember picking that up and having a ton of fun with it in a way that like I didn't really have with too many other decks at the time, at least. And yeah, it was so cool. It was so cool.
Yeah, it's such a cool deck like premise. I hope that it continues to get more attention because it rocks. And who else? We were looking at it somewhere that it did well in a recent tournament. It got 12th in the Miyazaki City League.
Yes, yeah, that Arc Armor Rouge deck got 12th. That thing, again, it's so cool. The Arc Armor Rouge version, it definitely runs more fire attackers compared to like the Chi one, but like you basically run like, you've got Delphox option.
Yep. Delphox V is such a cool card, by the way. I love that card.
Fantastic. It's got stuff. I mean, even the Armor Rouge EX, like Armor Rouge EX is
it's no slouch. It's cool.
It's insane when you can suddenly like throw this thing down, move like 6 fire energy onto it, and all of a sudden you're just kind of like nuking stuff, It's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It's very good.
And so now with the new Cerule Edge EX, I am so hyped with new Cerule Edge EX. I've been playing it online and I've been loving it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. We're already kind of talking about like the new set stuff. Let's just dive in to the new Surging Spark stuff that's coming out. Let's start with that Cerule Edge EX. So because it's legal, not next week but the week after, I think.
Yes. So
okay, the 22nd.
Because the 16th is, I want to say, because the 16th is LAIC. Actually,
yes.
And then you have
the week
starting on the 22nd. I think that's Sacramento, right?
I think maybe, I don't know.
So we might be seeing some. Let me double check that.
Holy Briars! Oh yeah, duh, it's Cerule Edge.
Sacramento, yeah, Sacramento's November 22nd to 20th. Okay, yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, so we could see some cool stuff.
I think we will
that weekend. I'm super excited for that. But yeah, so Cerule Edge EX, like after kind of messing around with it, and obviously like I've been looking at like the City League decks and the stuff on Pokebook and everything, and there were 3 builds that I kind of saw, like really 2, but I saw 1 pop up recently that was kind of interesting, and I still need to test it. But the 2 main were, you run it like super turbo, go, like just double squawk ability in it, and just try to like blitz through your deck as quick as possible. And it's a cool idea. It works out pretty well. The only downside really is just that like when you're relying on the Ceruledge as your only attacker, you don't have options. And
Yeah.
the second build, I think, has more options and it's just way more fun because it's got Palkia in it. And so I've liked the Palkia build better because of that.
Palkia V-Star is such an incredible card, dude. Like, it's so crazy to think about how much that has shaped almost every format since it came out.
Yeah.
It has always just either been at the forefront of the format or like right beneath that, where it's like waiting for one or two cards to make it busted.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that with, at least earlier on in the last format, with, you know, Dusks suddenly coming in, and like now we've got Palkia Dusk Noir, and it's kind of weird where like you're taking away your damage, but somehow you're doing better for that, you know. And
the math just works out where you're doing 20 less because you're missing a Dusk Noir, but you're also doing 130 more to whatever. And that's one of my favorite decks right now. Palkia Dusk Noir and then Palkia Noctowl are my two favorite decks in the format right now. They're just they're so fun to play, and they feel like they all have such an incredible amount of skill expression in them. They're just I can't get enough.
I mean, I took it like 301 last night.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good deck
at Rally Store League, so that was cool.
Very nice.
You know, fantastic deck. But yeah, this
the Ceruledge with the
Palkia with the Ceruledge, like having it as a partner in Ceruledge is so crazy. I mean, you just like,
because you have baked in a like what's the word? You have baked in synergy with Radiant Greninja because you already play that.
Exactly.
And then on top of that, like you might as well just play like the couple of extra water and like get the option for Radiant Greninja. I could even see an argument for like, I don't know, if you needed to add another like a different attacker, you totally could. You could figure out like you could probably figure out like an Iron Hand situation if you needed to.
If I was going to put in like another attacker, at this point, probably Blood Moon. Honestly,
yeah, Blood Moon good. Blood Moon good card.
Just put Blood Moon in. Like,
just throw a Blood Moon in.
That's the solution to a lot of decks. Is like, man, I really need something else. What do I do?
I need something late game.
Yeah,
I need something to hit 2 prizes at the end of the game. What do I do? It's Blood Moon.
And so for this one,
I do like how this City League deck is running a single Fan Rotom with no other colorless Pokemon just for the Assault Landing.
It's such a weird idea, but it's kind of cool too. And
it's based.
They do that.
Fan Rotom is good
with that Briar in there, and it kind of works out, right? Because you think about like what this deck is aiming for, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna go like 1, 2, 3, or at least that's what you're gonna try to do. You know, so you're gonna go at least on the stage 2s. You're like, okay, well, I've got the Rotom. You know, let's go 1 prize, and then we'll take out something like their, you know, Pidgeot or Rotom or Luminion, and then the last turn we'll Briar and then just cook whatever they have.
Yeah, because by then you're one-shotting everything in the format.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But late game, this deck has all energy except 1 in the discard, and you're swinging for like 350, and just nothing survives.
Having a deck with 20 energy that still does well is crazy to me.
It's so cool. I love it. That's what I love so much about it. Is it shouldn't work, and it does.
Yeah,
and
it's a very low maintenance attacker that actually just cooks.
And maybe I'm just like coping because I haven't hit bricks yet, but I haven't hit bricks yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it works,
for a deck like this to not brick when a third of it is energy, there's a certain level.
There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
that's not nothing.
It's almost like theme deck levels, like back in the day, or like the you know, structure decks and starter decks and stuff. Like, it's almost that level.
I miss theme decks. Bring back theme decks. EX battle decks are not it. They are terrible. I like that they're including Radiance in like the nice versions of them. Bring back theme decks though. I want the special coin. I want something that's not just a silver coin that says EX. I want like I remember getting like the Zoroark and Excadrill like theme deck that you like, it was 2 halves of a deck that you'd battle them against each other in like the black and white era, and then you could also just make them one deck.
I had something like that when I was
it was cool.
Kid.
Bring that stuff back.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, this deck is just, it's so much fun. So I'm loving the fact that like we've got this cool knives for hands Power Ranger guy just like coming out here and cooking. And then like like I said, you've got the Greninja, you've got the Palkia to kind of help you out. The Greninja's fantastic. I mean, I ran against someone who like I don't know what they were cooking. They had something, but they had a Mimikyu in the deck, and it's like suddenly you're like, oh, okay, you're starting to get like a little nervous about something like that because you're like, oh wait, I don't run anything big.
You need to have something to shred.
Mimikyu. And then you realize like, okay, well, obviously like Radiant Greninja, so you're like, you just Greninja the Mimikyu, and that's why I think this idea with like the Palkia version is better than the Turbo version, because that Turbo version is reliant on the Rotom, and if they, if it's just Rotom is just not as easy to make work as Greninja is.
No, certainly
right
not.
Now.
Certainly not.
And especially with like the way it works. I mean, like, yeah, it's one energy attached, but Greninja just is a better option, and it synergizes better, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Whew. Yeah. Incredible. I think it's really cool. It's a cool card. I'm anything that's got like potential to do a ton of damage for one energy. It's a good card. Yeah. Especially like on a stage 1. This card, honestly, I think is what was it? Score Bunny wanted to be.
Oh, yeah.
Because like it's also got that like 3 for 280 attack, and like that's not what you're using in the Ceruledge build.
No,
but at the same time, like it is a big fire type beater Pokemon that evolves and is like pretty mobile. It's what people wanted Score Bunny to be, and then some.
100%. And sorry to touch on this. What was it? This third build that I mentioned. Like I said, I might need to test this out. But they ran a 2/2 Ralts line in it, so that they could do Refinement Curlia, and then they've got one Galat in there for Buddy Catch, which is really cool.
Yeah, sure.
I love that idea. I'm not sure how that would work. Like, I'm not sure if that's going to go as fast as some of the other stuff, but I'm probably going to try it at some point. Like,
yeah,
it's worth at least trying, but it's a cool concept. I mean, it just kind of takes you're already likely to draw more into your energy than anything else, at least at any given point. So you might as well try to use Refinement to get more energy discarded, more, just faster through the deck, do everything the deck wants to do, basically.
Yeah. Which is a great effect. Like you want to discard stuff, you want to have draw on board. And like Curly is not great for much else other than like having Buddy Catch Gallade, which is a very good card.
Fantastic.
You've seen it. That's a good engine in a lot of rogue decks. I remember back when Zorobox, my beloved, was in the format. That was like it was a great engine to just get stuff you need in the discard, get it in there. Like don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think for that reason, like that's there's a reason that we saw it played even before Guardia EX was good. Because we had
I don't doubt that.
What was it? It was the Mewtwo V-Union control deck. There were 2 variations on it. There was the Gengar variant, and then there was Piper Lapine's list that didn't run the Curlias, ran the Gormandized Snorlax. And first of all, did you ever play with the V-Unions or like that Mewtwo list? Because that was one of the coolest lists I've ever used in my life.
I played against a guy back in Tampa who did he didn't do control with it, he just did straight Mewtwo V-Union, and
disgusting.
I mean, it was fun, dude. It was fun to play against. This was a guy who just did crazy rogue decks all the time that were like stupid, but they worked. I mean, he did like Spidops Bug Trio Bill. He did he did a 24 water energy Kyurem VMAX.
We love Kyurem VMAX around these parts.
He had, for whatever reason, just I think he kept it in there just because he knew I would play like Zoroark for a little while, that Hisuian Zoroark V-Star. He kept Fresh Water set in the deck, and then would just heal the damage off of my Pokemon.
That's like, so cool. Gross.
Great. I have nothing. Yeah.
That's so nasty. That's so gross.
So yeah. Yeah, he loved those decks. And so yeah. That was my kind of like experience with like V Unions a little bit.
Okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
we saw a control list that used that V Union and the Curly engine. It's a good engine. It's
Yeah.
trade Zoroark, except you don't have attackers. Except we're getting
Yeah.
him back, and I'm really excited.
I've delved a little into some older lists, just like looking things up to see like what the older metas were like a little bit sometimes here and there, and that yeah in Zoroark.
Believe it or not, discard 1, draw 2 is always a good effect.
Oh my god, insane.
It's why Radiant Greninja is the best card we've ever seen in the game, in fact. And I feel like that's only maybe a little bit of an overstatement, if at all. But let's look at some of this other new stuff. So we with the decks we've gotten, we got the Ceruledge, which you're really excited about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we've got the obviously the new Pikachu we talked about briefly. I don't know how I feel about that deck. There's a lot of variants on it. There's like Lost Box and there's Magneton. I think both of them are like fine. There's Blissey variants. I like Blissey variants.
There's the Blissey version. There's Pikachu as kind of a main attacker or a side attacker in Miraidon.
Yeah, in Miraidon.
And as the Area 0 like enabler in Miraidon as well.
I think that's just the optimal choice. Like if you're we don't need Mewtwo anymore.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Like
put that card back in the dumpster. It's getting the Hoopa EX treatment. Like when we used to run Hoopa EX in Lost Zone, and now we run just Blood Moon instead because it's just a better card.
I mean,
same thing with Mewtwo in Miraidon. Same thing.
At least
exactly.
Hoopa could attack. Like
True.
At least Hoopa could attack and was
and sometimes it was clutch
and useful. Like Mewtwo has no good options.
Mewtwo just sat there with its giant forehead out. that Mewtwo just did what I do on this podcast, is sit here with my forehead out. Like that is all it did. It could do nothing else.
Dude,
oh jeez.
This one on here on Book, someone did the Miraidon build and they did 2/2 Magnemite Magneton, but they threw in a Magnezone EX.
That's a choice.
Sure. I actually don't remember what Magnezone EX
Me neither. Does. Hold up. Let me.
Oh my god.
What a ridiculous card. It's
hard.
Energy Crush, 50 per energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. Seems fine. Yeah. I guess. I don't know what you're doing that against.
Yeah.
To be fair.
There's nothing in format that you would do that against.
Yeah, because all the stuff that like floods with a lot of energy discards it all.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe
you just need it to be big.
Maybe a Raging Bolt that's set up really well, but then you're still cooked. So yeah, exactly.
Maybe you just need to get big.
Something to be chunky. 330 is chunky.
330 is big.
I mean Magnezone what was it? Magnezone Control was a thing for a while, so
I do recall.
For a short while. But
very small.
That's a fun deck.
I see a variant in here playing the new Rotom, which is one of my favorite new cards, by the way. That new Rotom.
Oh my god.
Is it on PokemonCards.com? It is not, is it? Dang. That's sad.
There's so many weird lists with this Pikachu.
What exactly does that Rotom do again?
What is it? You look at your opponent's hand. That's right. You look at your opponent's hand, and then discard all items and tools you find, I believe.
All items and tools is crazy.
I will double check to verify it, but
I think that is correct.
I pulled one last night off of pack, so I'm pretty sure.
That's just such a bananas effect. I cannot believe that's real.
Yeah.
I'm over here looking through like my recent pools.
Crushing pulls, yeah, your opponent reveals their hand, discard all item cards and Pokemon tool cards you find there. That's
gross.
Dumb. That's dumb.
That's so silly.
That's dumb. Ooh, thought.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
The new Badoo though.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Pulse. Disgusting.
You don't get to play your items, and then you have to discard them.
Disgusting.
Enjoy not getting to play the game, idiot.
Yeah, this card's not okay. This is actually bad.
I don't think it's bad for the format. I think it's like totally fine because so many things just make it explode. But I think generally speaking, it's crazy that they printed it, if nothing else.
I so I'm gonna bring it back to Ceruledge real quick, but I did
Go
put
on.
in the new baby Ceruledge into that deck as a one of.
What does that baby Ceruledge do?
Baby Ceruledge has for one colorless, you get to discard all special energy from your opponent's side of the board.
Oh yeah, just a big go away to Lugia.
It's Lugia hate. It's Lugia hate, and
as you should. You should hate Lugia.
I did it against a Lugia player.
To be honest, was it
that
Shane?
I was absolutely getting cooked. I just did not have a good setup, but they had about 14 energy in the discard, and they had like the last, or maybe not that much, but they had a good amount in the discard and the last bit on their side of the board for sure. And I was just like, all right, well, let's try this.
Goodbye.
The last thing. And then yeah, it was just you saw it switch to their side. You saw them sit for a minute and then just to concede, and I was like, cool, yeah,
yep,
that's what I expected. That's what I needed.
Yeah,
it's Lugia hate, and it works tremendously. And I mean, even if it wasn't like a last ditch effort, that thing is still kind of good, just because like a chance to just discard like 4 to 8 special energy off of a Lugia's board.
Yeah,
is so clutch.
It's like, really cool.
Forcing them to start
especially because you play Legacy, right? So you can kind of manipulate that prize race so that you force them to overextend on energy and then bust out the baby Ceruledge and make like, all right, goodbye, go away, all of your energy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's super cool.
Yeah. Back to Pikachu.
Pikachu.
There's some weird ones.
I'm partial to the Blissey build. I think Blissey is an incredible engine. I know that I know that it's not like exactly the best, but I like when I look at it, I'm like, all right, this is a huge beast.
Yeah.
And you can just Glass Trumpet and accelerate that anywhere you want.
A 300 HP wall is crazy.
A 300 HP wall that accelerates energy into play every turn. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And if you needed to, you can attack with it and draw cards. Like, that's awesome.
There's a Blissey list here on Pokeca. Someone did just 2 Pikachu for the build with the 4/3 for the Blissey line, but they did like they included Terapagos in the list, and they included the stuff to do Terapagos' second attack. And because they did that, they included a 1/1 Scyther Scissor.
That's cool. I'm looking at that list right now. That's a really cool list.
That's such an interesting idea. I mean, Scissor's still kind of underrated in the format, and I'm hoping that someone will like craft. Like,
it's a sleeper pick. If there's ever, because that's the one that does damage per ability on your opponent's side of the board, right?
Yeah.
If there's ever like a situation,
meta, it's so nasty.
If there, an ability heavy in meta. Well, when you're looking at like your opponent has something like Blissey and Pikachu and Greninja and Fez. That's a lot of damage right up front. Or like a Mew EX. Like
we're pretty much in a format right now where like, you know, at least 3 big EX Pokemon on the opponent's board at any given point have abilities. At least 3. And usually it's more than that. And then when you consider the fact that like it almost always is more than that.
Yeah. Because especially now that we're getting stuff like that Latias EX, like we're every single deck right now plays Bezandipity EX.
Yeah.
And many decks play Rotom. And a lot of decks play Radiant Greninja. That's 3 abilities right there. And then if you're playing like a Latias, if you're playing a Mew EX, anything like that, like that's just more and more ability. Like if you're playing Monkey Dory or anything like that, or a Pikachu of your own, like that's a lot of abilities. And there's just, and even stuff you don't think about, like Fan Rotom ability, Blood Moon ability. If your opponent hasn't popped their Magneton yet, that's an ability that you can utilize.
I think Scissor is definitely something that like in the right decks, and there's just you know, maybe touching on some of these other ones, I could see it come into like maybe that Duraludon.
That'd be cool.
I would like to see it in Duraludon.
That Archaludon deck looks awesome, by the way. I played against James's build of Archaludon. It's too good. Like, I know it's not like a perfect deck. It's not like optimal. I don't think it's going to win any tournaments. Strong. But having played against it, I'm like, why did they print a card that can be Palkia V-Star multiple times a turn?
Yeah. I got into I got into a match earlier with it on live where it was just it just goes. You start out like with I didn't even have an amazing opening hand, but I was able to like get some metal energy into the discard with like a Greninja and with an Earthen Vessel,
Mhm.
and then I've got like 3 Duraludons on board, and then I've drawn into like 2 Archaludons at some point, and you evolve one, and you can punch with it, and then
Yeah.
eventually it gets taken out, and then you evolve the next one, and you can punch with
What
it,
is
and then
this?
eventually it gets taken out, and then you play a Night Stretcher, and you get one
Yep.
of those back, and you evolve again and punch and take
Mhm.
something out and win. Like
Being able
it
to just use like Turo a lot as well, just to like tank
oh
and
my god,
heal.
yeah,
Because your options when you have Archaludon in the active with damage on it is like, okay, I can either heal and accelerate more energy and have a new guy pop off, or I can just drop a hydrogen bomb on on your opponent
yeah.
and you're good.
It works out. It works out really well,
Yeah.
and I'm
That
excited to play
Relicanth
some more of
finally
that.
has a home too. That Relicanth is a really cool ability, and I'm glad it's
Yeah,
in the format. So it's nice that actually is seeing play. I'm
yeah.
looking
I
at a
think
list right now as
I only used
well.
that Relicanth once before, and that was in Magnezone Control.
Yeah.
That was the only time I used it before, just because you need it for the Magneton of the
Mm-hmm.
attack to get your items back.
Yeah.
So
This list on Pokébook top 4 list plays a 2/1 Starmie from 151. That says, I think it's let me pull it up exactly, but I'm pretty sure it's when it's on the bench, you can discard it and ping 20. Yeah, mysterious comment. Once during your turn, you may put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If you place any damage counters in this way, discard this Pokemon and all attached cards.
huh. Okay, I mean, I guess that's your answer to like the Raging Bolt.
Sure.
That's your Raging Bolt answer right there.
Yeah.
That's your answer to kind of most of the big basics that
Yeah.
you can't just go 220 and KO. So
I suppose that's true. I forgot about that.
Pans, Bolt. Yeah, geez, that's
It's silly, but I kind of messed with it. I was hoping
okay.
that Starmie would see play because it's very big quick shooting Inteleon vibes.
Yes.
And I like that. I'm a big quick shooting Inteleon enjoyer.
Yeah. After playing those world decks against you.
Yeah.
And getting to try those out. Oh my god, so much fun. Yeah.
Oh man, that was a good time. I'm still like regularly thinking about like, man, I need to get that. I need to go back to Buzz City and get that Lost Zone Worlds deck, and then I need to go back and get the whatever the fourth one was that I forgot about it.
I caved it. I just bought like 4 from the last 2 years each. So I was like, all right, yep, I've got Worlds 2022, 2023.
It's so sick.
Just play them against people from the shops. Like if I get friends who come up and visit, I'll just, hey, let's play some Pokemon, man.
Yeah, it's great for when you have somebody who like just doesn't have a deck and be like, I've got this.
Yeah,
and it's cool to see how those people who are brand new play those decks as well.
Yeah.
Also, I will stand on this. Mew VMAX is the best way to teach somebody how to play Pokemon. Because that deck just goes. Yeah. It's like it's Mew VMAX, and then I guess like if you wanted to be more serious and like if you were actually building a deck back in the day and you were like building your first deck and needed to like be on a budget, like you said, Lunarock or Lunatone Solrock, that was the best deck to teach people how to play. It taught you a lot about like sequencing, and it was very affordable. It was really, really good.
For sure.
Back when Scoop Up Net was in the format. R.I.P. Oh man, what's some other back to other decks though that we're looking at for Japan? We're not seeing a lot of change in like the decks we already have. Like I guess you get Terra Orb for Dragapult. Milotic EX is not real. It can't hurt you.
Milotic EX is just that is just the next wave in the control make your opponent not be able to play the game decks. It's just slotting in with your Noiverns, your Cornerstones, your Mimikyus, to Radiant Sarina, like this list, like it's just that kind of stuff. You put a Mawile in maybe.
Tempting Trap Mawile, the GOAT.
Yep.
I love
You
that
go,
card.
what was it? Alolan Vulpix, maybe. This actually,
Also,
that's an interesting one there.
another
Alolan
one
Vulpix
that's
with the
heat.
Excalibur to power up your water attackers. That's kind of cool.
I'm
But
a Alolan Vulpix V-Star fan.
yeah, Galvantula,
What the?
the
I'm looking at that
Galvantula
same
build.
list
Yeah,
with the one of Kyurem in there just because.
one of Kyurem,
What the?
Galvantula's, Thorns in there. Just it just Milotic just falls into the same category of like stop your opponent from playing the game
Ooh, I
type
do like.
decks.
There's a list that plays the new Alolan Executor and a Hisuian Gudra.
Oh, I see that one.
That's cool.
That's
Oh,
interesting.
with Scramble Switch. That's how they do it. That's hype. All
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
I'm into that. I'm building that.
I was like, as I said,
I'm gonna put that together on live.
one Crispin is not enough, but yeah, Scramble Switch. Oh man,
That's hype. I dig that.
Sick. Very sick.
Oh man.
I'm a Gudra enjoyer. Another card that I got into when I came back to everything was Gudra. I love it.
Gudra's
He's just
so
a
sick.
dude, man. He's just a weird looking dude, but I love it. And I fell in love with Lost Gudra decks.
Yes, Lost Gudra rocks.
Lost Gudra was so good pre-rotation.
I had a friend who based out of like Tampa, who I played in my first ever Charlotte Regionals. I will never forget this guy. I don't want to like expose his name on Discord.
No, you're
but
good.
If he ever is listening to this, shout out you, because he gave me. I didn't have lunch that day or really any money, and it was like the middle of rounds, and he gave me a protein bar. It was like a huge protein bar.
Oh, that's cool.
And he may have saved my life that day because I was already starting to get tilted. And then he gave me food, and I was like, "All right, I'm back. I'm back in it."
That's so awesome, dude.
But shout out that guy. If you know who you are. Now, I want you to scroll down one more from that list we're looking at right now on Pokeka. Look one more down.
Is that the one with the kind of like one
the commander
everything?
deck?
Yeah. Oh my god. That's just that's a Tord build right there. That's a Tord build right there.
So I'm looking right now at I'm saving this image. This might be the thumbnail.
Paldean Tauros?
What? Wait a minute. Yeah, that is Paldean Tauros. So let's see. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Just under half the deck is one ofs. This is bananas. I'm saving this and I'm making this the thumbnail. I can't believe this exists.
I remember. Two colorless. You may put 2 energy attached to your opponent's active stage 2 Pokemon into their hand.
Ew.
Charizard hate. Dragapult hate.
Ew.
Let's go.
Lugia hate also.
Lugia. No, not Lugia hate actually.
No.
It's not a stage 2.
Oh, that's right.
It's not a stage 2.
That's right.
But yeah, Dragapult hate.
That's gross.
Charizard hate for sure. Slacking hate, I guess. If someone is
Slacking's not real.
Slacking's not real. I've played a couple of games with it. It's not fantastic.
Yeah.
But he does some work against some of those big basics, dude. I'll tell you that. Like
I believe it.
260 punch.
It's nothing to turn your nose up at.
Is kind of nice, especially when like you get rid of the DTE, but the deck runs 4 of them, and once you have that like Pidgeot out, you're just like, okay, search for the next DTE, punch, next DTE, punch.
Yep.
You know, the only thing I think I had a hard time with it was like a Roaring Moon deck. Roaring Moon just has an easy time against stage 2s. So.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, all these builds with Milotic in it are just
they're really interesting.
It's all just crazy control, stop people from playing the game.
Yeah, which is cool. I think it's something that's important to have for the format.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, there's a list in here with Diancie, my favorite card, Princess Veil Diancie. Yes, that's a goated card with Spike Draw for 1 energy. You draw cards. That's pretty good.
That's crazy.
Dude, Japan is cooking right now.
They really are.
And I don't think Milotic is real, but like it's cool to see how it fits into like bird control.
Yeah.
But speaking of decks that aren't real, we would be remiss to not look at Tatsugiri EX.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
This is the silliest deck I've ever seen.
God.
So I need to pull up what it says.
There's so many versions of this too.
Yeah. Well, because it's very much a box deck. I didn't have this prepared. I need to look up Tatsugiri EX.
This thing is silly.
Wait, has that been released?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna look up Pokemon cards then. PokemonCards.com. Tatsugiri EX. Let's see it. It's not on. Oh, this website must not have been updated.
Here, let's see.
I'll just Google it instead.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, these lists with it are just silly.
Okay, so it says it's got the attack Cinnabar Lure for a fire, a water, and a darkness. It says look at the top 10 cards of your deck. You can put any number of Pokemon that you find there onto your bench. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. So naturally, people are playing this with really ridiculous cards. The first deck on Pokeka plays 4 Pidgeot EX, 2 Buddy Catch Gallade, 2 of... Is that Vanillux? And Serena?
4 Serena EX.
What?
And 3 Meowscarada.
Oh gosh.
And it's a total pile.
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's not a good deck.
Tatsugiri, it's like Thorns, but
it enables so many
worse.
cool. It enables so much cool play, and that's why I think it's sick. So like, I'm looking at actually. I think this right here is maybe the optimal build, right? So Tatsugiri, 2 Tatsugiris, and then you play Dusknoir, Dusclops, the Togekiss that lets you take more prizes. You play 2 Oranguru V. With the back order ability that when it's in the active, you get to go search for tool cards.
Yes.
Which is so good, by the way, and nobody knows it. Squawkabilly, Luminion, Latias EX, Pheasantipity, but you're getting all of this value out of
3
just like
Rotom, 3 Ditto.
Yeah. Your attack is okay, I'm gonna go get I'm gonna put 4 Dusknoir on my bench sometimes, or I'm gonna put like 3 Dusknoir and then like 2 Togekiss, and then I'm blowing up your whole board next turn and taking extra prizes as I do.
Yeah,
and then after I've done all that, because those are abilities and not attacks, for some reason those cards got printed. After that, I'm gonna come in when you've got 1 prize left. And I'm going to blow you up with Blood Moon or Saluna.
Yeah.
It's so sick.
It's silly.
It's bad. It's very bad. But it's so cool to look at and be like, this just lets you go put whatever you want into play. It's like cards that used to be terrible are like, okay, this is like, I can just throw it into the Tatsugiri deck. It's possible, at least.
It's silly, too. And it's interesting because we got something like this, I think, I want to say it was in Twilight Masquerade. It was definitely post-rotation. With Reuniclus.
Yes.
And Reuniclus, I can't remember what the Reuniclus does specifically, but it was something very similar. Like, look at like the top however many cards and bench, whatever, I think maybe stage 2s or something, just bench whatever Pokemon you find out of that.
Yeah, summoning gate for a colorless. You would look at the top 8 and put any number of Pokemon onto your bench.
Yeah, that's like such a cracked concept, but because it's on the stage 2,
it's bad.
People just were like, okay, well, that's terrible. Yeah,
I'd rather put the 3. I'd rather put the 3. I'd rather literally play Oranguru V and go get Forest Seal Stone and Sparkling Crystal and use Forest Seal Stone to go get Crispin, use the Sparkling Crystal, Crispin, attach, boom, now I've got my whole board set up. It's turn 1 going second. What do you do against that? Like, because it reminds me very much of like It reminds me of Radiant Eternatus a little bit, where it's like, this is goofy and silly and a cool way to cheat out Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's bad, but it's really cool. Which Radiant Eternatus, when you benched it from your hand, you could just go fetch out 2 VMAX Pokemon and throw them on the bench.
Yeah.
That's such a sick ability. Like, it's hard to believe that ability sucked, by the way. It's really hard to believe that was terrible.
Because there were some, I mean, there's some absolute crap VMAX out there.
It was cool for like Kyurem, I think.
Yeah. That makes sense.
What else is there out of this new set then? Oh, the last one I really want to touch on for the new set, before we kind of move on, is also slotted into some of these Tatsugiri decks, is the Hydreigon EX. I am a Hydreigon lover. It is an insanely cool Pokemon, and also the deck rocks. I'm looking at these builds that are playing it kind of like spread, and I like the sound of that. In fact, I'll probably end up talking to one of the guys from Unplugged who is a big spread enjoyer. Because that's how I bonded with that guy, is like we met playing spread decks. This is gonna be insane. Because like I'm looking at, what is this? This first build is Lost Zone.
Box. Yeah. Lost
which
Box
is crazy.
Hydreigon, which you think about like all the other Lost Box like stage 2 decks, none of them are really ever like that amazing. But you consider also like Hydreigon works as a spread deck. And now it's kind of suddenly a little more interesting. Because now you're like, okay, well, I can do spread damage with this. I can go and Sableye and, you know, Lost Mine like damage counters onto a Squawkabilly, a Luminion, a Mew, just kind of a lot of stuff that like is really, really susceptible to all of that. And that kind of, I could see that working out.
I think what's cool about it is it does a lot of things okay. So like the first attack on it, really cool, because it's 200 damage, which isn't a lot, but 200 damage can become a lot for 2 energy, and it discards the top 3 of your opponent's deck. Like that's cool. It's not quite mill, it's not quite a big hit, but it's enough of both that it's really good. And then you add on to that you're able to do 130 to 3 with the second attack, and you're starting to cook.
Yeah. Well, and we're in a format right now too where it's like your opponents a lot of the time maybe want stuff in the discard because it plays off of that. But when they don't get to control what hits the discard, sometimes that can be game defining.
Yeah.
You know? When you hit that and you mill like an Iono and a Boss and something else off the top, all of a sudden your opponent starts getting a little squirrely because they're not exactly happy that now they said goodbye to 2 really important, you know, game defining supporters, you know?
Yeah.
And that's like in those stage 2s when you go against the big basics, you go against your Raging Bolts, and now your Roaring Moons that are kind of coming back, your Gouging Fire that's on the come up, you know.
True.
You mill a Sada off, you know?
Yeah.
Mill that Sada off, and if they don't have a Pal Pad available at the moment, or if they've already used Pal Pad, you're kind of denying them, you know, that chance to keep the game state going on their side of the board. And that could be detrimental in some games. So like mill 3 on a 200 hit is definitely worth looking at.
Well, that's the thing too, is like, even though the effect isn't awesome, at some point the numbers are big enough that it is impactful, right? And this is kind of how Charizard EX became good. Is like, when I first looked at that card, I was like, this card is fine, I guess. But I what I didn't realize at the time was like, it's big and it does a lot of damage.
And exactly. And
so
when you look at those HP pools on ones like this Hydreigon, like that Charizard, 330, like there's not a lot that punches through that all at once in the format.
Right, especially there's not much that can do a lot against that also isn't susceptible to mill. So you got to think about it, because this deck, you're going behind on prizes. You're you're probably playing something to keep yourself up there, like keep yourself around and like online, because you're gonna have to go behind. You're probably playing from behind anyways, and against all these turbo decks, you're gonna have that opportunity to make really impactful mills, or set up those really devastating like Obsidian into Devolution plays.
Oh my god, yeah.
Which is gonna be gross.
Like, absolutely.
And I understand that like there's a lot of hesitation right now to play anything that does damage specifically to benched Pokemon, because so many things are Terras and inherently immune to bench damage. But a lot of really impactful support Pokemon are really, really hurt by 130.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at like putting 130 on like a Pidgeot, you know, you look at putting 130 onto just kind of anything really.
Yeah,
like you're like, okay, you know, this is real. Like this I mean, the Pidgeot devolution plays. I mean, that right there should just destroy a game state entirely.
Right. Well, and you see a lot of this reflected in the way people are playing it with Dust Noir and things like that. And counter catchers, because like I said, you're going behind in prize cards. So what you're going to wind up I see a world where you get this bananas playoff where you're like able to set up like two Dust Clops, right? You don't even need the Dust Noir. You get 2 Dust Clops play. You put 50 on like a Rotom. You put 50 on a Luminion or whatever. You counter catcher up a Mew EX, and you take 6 prize cards just like that, because
disgusting.
You knocked out the Rotom, the Mew, and the Luminion like that.
Disgusting.
Which I'm sure that will happen like twice, probably ever. But but just the idea of that like the possibility of that existing in the format, and it getting so much support because there's so much good support for dark types right now, with the form of like Pecharunt, Dark Patch, things like that.
The Binding Mochi.
Binding Mochi is cool.
A one of Binding Mochi in this deck is low key, I think, like probably one of the biggest like tools you can put in there, honestly. Because you're going your Pecharunt, you bump that Hydreigon right up to the front, you let it get poisoned, and now you're swinging 240. And now 240 is the magic number right now.
Now you're doing 240 in milling.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Or you're doing like 170 to the active and 130 to 2.
Yeah.
Like that's not something to ignore. And I'm sure like it's not going to be BDIF.
No.
But there's going to be a tournament where this is the correct play, and it's going to be the coolest match you've ever seen on stream.
Someone is cooking this for Sacramento, and I truly hope we get to see it.
I need to see this
sometime on stream because this could be crazy. I mean,
this list is playing the Azelf too. That's hype.
Oh wait, which one?
The new Late Guardian Azelf. Where I think it just doubles damage counters.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's nuts too. Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah. This is definitely. I think this is definitely a card that like maybe it's kind of like Dragapult, where maybe it's not amazing right now.
It'll get there. But it'll get there for sure.
I think with like some changes, maybe with rotation, things like that just happening in the format, like just the natural evolution of like the state of play, and you could see this deck start getting really gross really easily.
And ew, this is nasty. Sorry. You see how much crazy cool stuff is coming into play? Because I'm looking at a Dialga V-Star Metang build of this deck. And that makes me sick to my stomach.
That's something.
I think this person should be banned from making deck lists. Because that's wrong.
Cool, let bro cook.
But like, yeah, this is a card to not be scared of yet, but definitely respect it. Like, never forget about it. Because there'll be a time where it's like, wait a minute, this is really good for this tournament.
I gotta look one up here. Someone did Someone put in a Clink Clang in one of these decks.
That's cool.
What is this one? I'm pretty sure it's not that one.
Some people are playing the Yuxi from the new set, the Yuxi and Azelf.
I think it's the Silver Tempest Clink Clang.
Yeah, the one that
Peters.
when you play it from hand to evolve, you dig up I think you search like 3 basic energy, yeah?
Oh my god. What?
I think it's 3 basic metal, right?
Just 3 basic energy. It doesn't matter what.
Oh, what?
3 basic energy.
And just attach them wherever?
Attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like.
Alright, that's cool.
Okay.
That's really cool.
They did a 2/2 of like Clink and Clink Clank. And yeah, that's okay. That could be something there.
Yeah, that's really interesting to think about.
That's maybe real, maybe not.
Maybe.
Probably not.
I'm excited to see what becomes the optimal build, because like Japan loves to cook up just zany nonsense.
Dude, someone made it into just a control deck.
Yeah, I saw it with like the Fergaraf.
Oh, this one is like 2/2 with like but it's got like they've got like the 2/2 Pidgeot, they've got the Rotom, they've got the Petrump, but then they've got like Pidgeot V, they've got Cornerstone Mask, they've got a 1 Snorlax, they've got 1 Mimikyu in it.
Oh, I'm seeing it right now.
They've got control stuff, and then
they've got
like
the haunted broom, whatever that is. The feather duster thing.
Cursed Duster.
Cursed Duster.
God.
Yeah.
Do again?
It's I think it's a reprint of Spirit Mask, where you like discard an energy. I couldn't tell you.
If this Pokemon is knocked out, if the Pokemon this card's attached to is knocked out by damage from an attack, discard a random card from your opponent's hand.
Gross.
Dumb. Dumb.
Silly.
And it's gonna and that works so good with like a deck that's already, or like with a card that's like already looking at milling. They've got, like,
getting rid of your resources.
It's just like, yeah. Super honestly, cool. That's something. Speaking of that, with some new stuff coming, that Xerosic
machinations,
control decks are going to feast with Xerosic and
Xerosic's already out.
Yeah. Well, no, with the new meddling memo item card.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Control decks are feasting with that, I guarantee.
I forgot about the meddling memo.
That's disgusting, because you Xerosic your opponent down to 3, and then they keep, like, the one thing that held Xerosic back was like, okay, well, they get to keep like 3 things that they want, so they could still have like a good hand. Now you just meddling memo them, and
they don't have
just
the same
end up
hand at all.
With trash in the next hand, and it's like that's game defining.
That's gonna be really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it's an item card. Meddling memo is an item card. Exactly. What the heck? Why did they print that?
It's
especially if you have a huge hand. God forbid.
Right.
If you're for some reason like tweaking out of your mind right now and playing Lost Zone, and you have like a 12 card hand, and your opponent's like, what if you got the next 12 cards instead, but also you only get to keep 2 of those?
Oh my god, yeah, basically. Like it's just God. Yeah, there are some options out there right now.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy to think of how many decks there are right now compared to what the meta felt like. What was it, 2-3 months ago?
Mm-hmm.
Where it was like you're pretty much playing Gardevoir or Dragapult or Charizard.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like limitless stuff from like post Worlds, like it's not like it was terrible, but like it just amounted to a lot of just the same. Like, I'm not saying like Baltimore was terrible, but Baltimore, we just saw a lot of the same, and like I think there was some occasionally, like I just pulled the results up just because, like, it's worth at least looking at. Like, I mean, we did get like a Roaring Moon in top 4, and that's cool. But we also had 3 Lugia in top 4, and like when Lugia is always going to be the high roll deck, but like we've got like the Lugia there, we've got the Drago there, we've got Snorlax Stall. Like the meta was pretty similar, and then like pre-worlds, same, yeah, like you said, same kind of thing. There was a lot of
Like you look at NAIC last
oh my
year,
god, yes,
and you see Lost Zone box, and you see Guard of War,
yes,
and that's
it.
that's all you see for the first top 9 decks. The 10th deck is Snorlax. Like,
Yes, that's like you just hit a certain point in like metas like that where it's like, okay, well, the optimum build is just playing something like this and playing something that's so I love Guardy, I love Lost Box, I love playing both of those decks. They're
yeah,
so slow, and when you're in a meta where like playing slowly, you know, is the optimal way to play, it gets boring at a certain point. I'm
it
not gonna
does.
lie. Like
It does.
I love combo decks, but there's a difference between like combo and then just like grinding through until
Yeah.
you can suddenly like play the game, and
Yeah.
that's what both of those decks really do. And
Absolutely.
I'm enjoying like where we're at now, where we've got so much variety. It's so like rock paper scissors,
Mm-hmm.
whoever you end up against, you might have just a bad play, but even then, like there's options you have still.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
you
and you
could
look
have
at
a
like
bad matchup and still be good in that.
there's a meta breakdown tier list on Pokeka, and the decks I'm seeing here, I'm like, why? Like, it's crazy that these decks are like this. And granted, this is from a limited sample size, but
Yeah.
you've got Raging Bolt, Charizard, and Regidrago in S tier, and you've got
Mhm.
Dragapult, Gardevoir, Lugia, Ancient Box for those guys,
It's
like
been
Golden
on a comeback.
Go, Moon, Quad Thorns, and then you've got Cerulege, Snorlax, Palkia, Miraidon, Lost Zone, Terapagos, Cloth, and Archaludon. First of all, seeing
Yeah.
Cloth in the same tier as Lost Zone box is enough to kill a Victorian child. If you would have
Oh
showed
my
that to me,
God.
if you would have showed that to me when Cloth first came out, I would have punched you in the mouth. They're like, that's not possible. And yet,
Oh
there it
man.
is in Japan.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to see like decks that I'm like, nah, that's not real. Like Golden Go, that deck, I'm still not sure I believe in it, but it's apparently doing well in Japan, and I think that's hype.
I think Golden Go. I will never. I will openly admit I'm never going to play. I
Oh
have
yeah,
never built it on live. I have never attempted to try to play it. I'm not very fond of the let me discard a bunch of stuff from my hand or from my attached Pokemon. Like
yeah,
I don't know. I never got into Chin Pao. I didn't get into Golden Go. I played Bolt to a league once or twice,
yeah.
and that was it. That was it. Like Bolt's all right. Yeah, I just don't get into it, man.
I get
But
it.
Golden Go, that is such a fun way to play that.
That archetype,
If
yeah,
I was ever going to go back to trying to play some of those, I think that Golden Go would be what I would go to
yeah.
ultimately.
It's really
Like
cool, and
compared to Bolt,
it's got
yeah.
some cool like versatility too. Like if you play it
Mm-hmm.
with the Palkia, you can get your Gradient Greninja off. Which is it's another cool thing, but it's just like it's so, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm tired of this format where it seems like everything is just Regidrago or Raging Bolt, that I'm excited to see new stuff. Even if Regidrago and Raging Bolt are still really, really good picks next format,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be cool to see more things pop up and exist and see how those new decks and new archetypes start to handle those threats of these
Yeah.
big giants in the meta.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
For sure.
that's part of what's so exciting about the new set is like, because some of these cards, I feel like we're so accustomed to getting
Mm-hmm.
cards that suck that
Yes.
like we're finally getting new things that I'm like, oh wait, this is good, and
Yeah.
might actually like be a cool way to handle X, Y, and Z deck. You know?
I thought to myself kind of today actually when I was like testing decks out, and having some fun with it. I was like, I don't think I've had this much fun playing these decks on live, like on release, since maybe like Temporal Forces. Honestly,
Yeah.
even Twilight Masquerade didn't do stuff for me the same way that like this is, and like
Yeah.
Temporal Forces, like getting some of the stuff that we got in Forces with hands and with ancient cards and stuff like that, and getting to build out
Was
ancient box stuff. Like,
was Temporal Forces? I thought Iron Hands was Paradox
or
Rift.
no, Hands was Paradox Rift. You're right, but getting the hands like support. You
Yeah,
know,
the hand support
like
definitely didn't come until
getting the Iron Crown,
Temporal Forces.
And getting to suddenly like say, okay, I don't have
Iron
to run
Leaves
hands.
EX, very
Yeah,
good card.
the Iron Leaves was hyped for about a week.
Yeah, true.
For about a week. Actually, no, it was hyped for a little longer because of the people needed Charizard hate at the time.
True. I still need Charizard hate. I hate that deck.
Honestly, yeah.
I'll still play it. Like if I'm ever feeling silly and playing like Lost Tina or Arctina or anything like that, or even frankly, like you can play it with Ogre Pawns and just be like, I just want you to explode.
I ran for about a month, maybe a month and a half at my league in Tampa. I ran Meowscarada. I was the biggest Meowscarada enjoyer, and I was cooking Zards for that time period because everyone was running Zard at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, after about a week or two of like getting stomped by Zard when I was playing like even stuff that maybe should have been okay, just Zard somehow like Lost Box. Zard somehow should not win against Lost Box, and I'm still getting cooked because Zard players just somehow have the nuts every single time.
I mean, when all it takes is Rare Candy Pidgeot, Rare Candy Charizard.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I was like, okay, well, I want Zard hate. Let's build Meowscarada. Let's like actually build it. And I just took the stage 2 shell with Pidgeot and the Rotom.
Yep.
For Sealstone. Threw in the Alakazam to just bounce energy around and make sure that you
one of the best
always
cards
have,
in the format.
Oh my god, insane. Yeah, just make sure you always can do scratching nails for 400 against a Charizard. And yeah, like I was cooking for so long with that. And then eventually Charizard died down and I was like, okay, I can play some other stuff now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a it's so nice to see like some of these things. It's gonna be interesting, I think maybe next weekend with LAIC, just because South America loves Charizard. South America loves Charizard. So it'll be interesting to see if the numbers are inflated on that simply because of the location, or if Charizard actually might make a comeback, or I don't know.
My prediction is honestly, you get all like the South American players playing Charizard. We get other like North American normies who are like, oh, they're gonna play Charizard, I'm gonna play Dragapult. And then you're gonna have like a group of like 10 South Americans who are like, I see this coming a mile away. I'm gonna play something to counter the drag and also counter like all the other nonsense. And it'll be the most ridiculous deck list you've ever seen in your life, and it'll win. And I don't know what it'll be.
Lugia.
Gross.
It's just Lugia.
I don't want Lugia to win again.
It's just Lugia again.
It probably will just be Lugia again.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but it's a very real possibility.
Yeah, it's just Lugia again. No, for real, it'll be like, I don't know, maybe
we could see Moon. We could see Miraidon.
Moon. I will say that's something else I've noticed out of South America is they do like some of the big basics as well. So we could see, Miraidon, Moon, Bolt, maybe a Gouging Fire. I'm a Gouging Fire believer.
Gouging Fire is cool.
So
Gouging Fire is really cool.
I finally bought the pieces to build up Gouging Fire, so I got some of those today. I'm not gonna bring it tomorrow, unfortunately, but I will have it soon, and I'm super excited to be able to play that in person because it's so fun. That's another one that's like it falls in the same line as like that Arc Armor Rouge build where like you think it's like very one trick, like okay, well you're just gonna Sada, Magma Basin, attach, have the Gouging Fire hit, but you've got options, I mean the Jet Energies are alone are already cool because you can go and not risk yourself too much, keep something safe, and keep like a one prizer in the active.
Yeah.
You've got the Flutter
Make it Diancie. That's what it is. It's Princess Veil Diancie.
I got the Flutter Mane in there because the Flutter Mane, he's just you sit it right there in the front and let it just
do its thing. Your opponent can't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, and Flutter Mane, the Flutter Mane, Sada to
It's a good
Flutter
card.
main, 90 damage attacker.
It's pretty good.
You know, and you got the energy switches. You've got a Delphox and an Inite in there to kind of
Goated cards.
come and punch for stuff.
Mm-hmm. You can
Go
snipe with Delphox.
exactly. I mean, Delphox plus the Flutter main, like
Yeah.
that alone is kind of spicy. Like you just there's it has new and the Monkey Dory.
Yeah,
they
Monkey
put a
Dory.
Monkey Dory into two dark energy. Yeah, it's spicy. It's got nuance. It's not. It feels very much like the Raging Moon builds, like the Roaring Moon builds, like the Raging Bolt builds, but with a little bit of just a little bit of extra spice in there, you know?
Yeah, with some skill expression.
And 260 is
260
so
is such
clutch.
a hard number. It's such a hard number for a lot of decks to hit.
Mm-hmm. And you're just clean on it. Like that is your number. You're looking like you don't care. Like it's either you can hit or you can't. So you're always going to try to hit, but 260 is your number, you know?
Yeah.
And then with them like you said, with the skill expression, I mean you're looking at pushing 280s with Monkey Dory, and all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, like I'm a Gauch believer.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming out, and I think I'm really excited to see what that's going to do as far as the meta goes here.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also really, really interested to see what comes after that. With the prismatic evolutions stuff that has been revealed. What do you think of all of these evolutions? First of all, collectors are eating so good with this set.
Yeah.
Every one of these evolution SIRs goes bananas.
This set has some really cool stuff going for it, just in general. In terms of like the art, the design. I mean, even some of all the base EVs without them even being like SIRs, you know, just the base.
Yeah, they look good.
They look cool. I know some people are not fans of like giant, you know, crystal hats on Pokemon. I think they look really cool.
I think there's ways to make them look good.
Even outside of the EVs too, there's some like really cool looking ones. I'm scrolling through the list on Justin Pazel, and it's like the Xerneas. That looks cool.
Yeah,
that Xerneas.
I freaking love Xerneas. It looks so good. I wish it was good.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish it was good at all, but it's unfortunate. The Mimikyu?
The Mimikyu looks crazy.
This Mimikyu. Hold on, who's this artist? I need to see who this artist is.
Is it the 5-band? No, Planeta.
It's a Planeta. Let me see.
Yeah.
I need to see. Hold on, because I want to see if I clocked this correctly. I did not clock that correctly. I thought it was the same artist who did the Battle Academy Darkrai EX. I was wrong.
No,
because
no.
They're very similar looking. Like it's the same pose but turned this way a little bit.
Yeah. Planeta does a lot of these EXs, and they always manage to make them look really good. Like the Planeta ones always manage to look really, really good. I think
Alchemy looks sick, and it's Planeta.
Oh my god.
The Alchemy looks so good.
Like just there's so much expression in some of these. The posing is so dynamic.
Yeah.
Like and that alone, like man, like I said, the Xerneas, I just love it. Like its hoof is going off the card.
Yeah.
Like it's just so.
It looks like it's
so
jumping
cool.
out of the card straight up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm loving like the designs already, even if some of them aren't good.
And I'm loving that like it's also.
And then
that Xerneas is also in the middle of like technically a battle animation.
Yeah.
Because like it's got all of the like the yellow glowing on it. Because like regular Xerneas isn't glowing bright yellow like that. Like it's just kind of like pale yellow. And that's like a very minuscule thing, but like to have it like actually lighting up in the card is so sick.
Yeah.
We've got another unplayable Lucario EX. Just
God, Lucario cannot catch a break.
TCPI or creatures print a playable Lucario EX challenge.
Free
Impossible.
my boy, please.
Please free my boy.
Lucario doesn't deserve this.
He doesn't. It's so sad.
I got the battle. I think it's the Battle Academy reprint Lucario off of Stellar Crown.
I think that's the only EX I pulled from this set.
So I sleeved it and I put it into a binder, and it's going to sit in that binder, and no one will buy it. I know
Yes.
no one's gonna buy it for me. It is going to sit in my binder, and
That is
yeah,
it.
that's about it. It's going to end up in a closet at some point and forgotten. And I feel so bad for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's some. I guess just starting with like the EVs, right? Like,
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about specifically EV itself, the EVEX,
okay.
that has the Rainbow DNA ability. Once during your turn, if you have a Pokemon EX in your hand that evolves from an EV, you can put it on that card onto this Pokemon to evolve it. And you can't use it during your first turn. General evolution rules. Being able to evolve an EV into like an EVEX into like just another evolution. For a second, I actually didn't read it all the way and thought you could just put any evolution onto it. Like if you could put a single prize onto that, that'd be broken.
Yeah.
But like being able to evolve that EV, just having another target for EVs to evolve with, because already like the general consensus is you play the brand new EV that lets you evolve turn 1. And then you play 3 resonant evolution EVs from Astral Radiance.
Yes.
And you set your board up turn 1.
Yes.
Add on to that you've got the EVEX so that you can get more evolutions into play, and you're cooking.
I mean, that's 8 EVEX evolutions for EX.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that alone, like that's so crazy, honestly. Just to be able to do that, because I know that they have really hammered home the fact that you can't evolve from EX Pokemon. You're never going to be able to evolve like a Raichu onto that Pikachu EX.
Right.
But this, even if they made a Raichu EX, I don't think they would make Raichu EX. Yeah, it wouldn't be like you could play.
It would be like
onto the EV.
You'd have to go onto a Pikachu.
Baby Pikachu. Yeah, exactly. But EVEX, like that alone is such a crazy ability. The attack is whatever. No one's going to use the attack.
Right.
It's only meant for that ability. That said, unfortunately, I think a lot of the evolution
are bad. They're very bad cards.
The EXs are not great.
Let's see.
Leafeon is, what is that? Leaf Storm 60, and then
Healing 100 is cool.
Healing 100 is cool.
But like that's never coming up in an Oko format.
The Leaf Storm is bad. Fresh Leaf Storm is terrible. Flareon is, I don't know. I could see it.
It's something.
I could see it maybe where actually let me look at something real quick here with that EV.
Yeah. While you do that, I'm gonna continue to look at these other guys.
Because the EVX is one. Okay, once during your turn, if you have a Pokemon EX in your hand that evolves from EV, put it on this. You can't use it during your first turn. Okay, so you can't use it. Yeah. Okay. But maybe with the I could see the Flareon maybe working if you could somehow use it with that the baby EV and evolve the baby EV on the first turn.
True. Or Salvatore. Every one of these is Salvatorable.
Yeah, and if you could find a way to like do that plus Crispin plus Sparkling Crystal with this Flareon, or actually no, not even that. Sorry, because Burning Charge is just fire and colorless. Yeah. If you could just find the way to get the 2 energy on it that you need, this could actually be like the way to make the EV EX deck kind of work.
Yeah.
You know, where you're charging up all the EVs in whatever way that you need to turn 1, you know, getting the energy moved around. And then that 280 is, I mean, that's such a good number.
280 is a good number.
280 is a good number. And we see that's the same on all of the Gen 1, I think, right?
Yeah, yes. So Vaporeon has 280, Flareon has 280, and Jolteon has 280.
Yeah, okay.
Jolteon's attack is pretty cool. Having 60 and then 90 for each energy you discard.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's 240.
Yeah,
that's nothing to sneeze at.
240 is a good number. 240 is a great number right now, honestly.
Yeah, what else is there? Vaporeon is cool.
all right. I mean, 60 onto each EX Pokemon could be interesting, but
Yeah.
with like spread decks. But
yeah, it's a cool spread concept, but it also runs into the problem where every Terra has bench barrier.
exactly, yeah. And so that's just, and if it had said damage counters,
First of all, if it
Yeah.
said damage counters, it'd be broken
oh yeah, damage counters broken.
because
If
you're
it said
you're getting turn
place
one.
damage,
It's literally like turn one crisp. It's turn one broken evolution EV.
Yeah.
Crispin 60 on everything.
yeah.
And then on top of that, you're also actually wait. You can still do that anyways. You can board wipe turn one with this.
Well, it's only for Pokemon EX.
Okay, yeah, never mind then. It sucks. It's bad.
So like you would have to do it against like your Raging Bolts, your Roaring Moons, and
they're all blowing
then
you up next turn anyways.
something
so
profit.
you lose.
Yeah, exactly. Like 60 damage, it's not enough. Like that's
Yeah.
the problem is it's just not enough. And then
60
the Pokemon
damage
that
and it not
matters
being
against,
damage counters.
Yeah.
I actually don't think it would be broken if you would made it damage counters.
Yeah, no, it really would have been okay, I think.
Because then
if
you
it
still
was
have to hit the
damage
nuts turn one to make the board wipe play exist. And
Yeah,
also you have
and-
to wait until your opponent puts all their EXs into play.
counters. Yeah, exactly. So it's unfortunately just not very playable.
Yeah.
The Glaceon 110 and then 30 to 1 bench Pokemon is that's somehow worse than the Vaporeon.
Yeah. I do
That's
like
somehow worse.
the second attack. Just because you can that's either it's knock out one of your opponent's Pokemon that has exactly 6 damage counters on it. That's
Yeah.
like Hawlucha Dusk. Or it's very similar to hold on, let me see.
It is with the Vaporeon, technically.
True. I'm thinking something else though. I'm thinking Hisuian Samurott V-Star. Which maybe I'm probably coping. But once during your turn, you can just put 4 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon.
Yeah.
Just put it there. Gape Jaw
Still
Bog,
somehow
perhaps.
not the worst V-Star ability. But yeah.
True. Yeah,
The
it feels
Jolteon-
weird.
Jolteon is good.
Yeah, the Jolteon's
Espeon-
fine. What's the
Espeon
Espeon
could
do?
be interesting. Discarding a random card is interesting.
Yeah, that's
mean,
good.
That could see some control play, which
Amethyst is good too.
yeah, devolve each evolved Pokemon and shuffle the highest stage back into the deck.
That's where
is
it gets good.
Crazy.
That's where it's good. Is because then your opponent doesn't just I just get the rare candy now. Like they have to go get the rare candy and the Pokemon.
Well,
or whatever else. Yeah.
And it works against stage ones too.
Mm-hmm.
So it works against your Golden Goes, your Cereal Edges, your
other EVs.
whatever's, Espathras, something like that. You know, like it works against those, and that's the real important part, because that is so devastating to decks like that, where like normally de-evolution was just like, okay, well, it just goes back to your hand. Okay, well, whatever, I'm gonna play it down the next turn.
Yep.
You know. Yeah, that's good. The Sylveon we already have, but again, Sylveon.
I still think that Sylveon's broken.
Yeah, I think the Sylveon. I think you could make an interesting control deck out of Sylveon and Espeon.
100%. 100%.
I think those two could work pretty well. The only real issue with them both is just not having good matching energy types for their Terra attack. Because like grass, like that's
there's literally one overlap,
different...
and it's a psychic.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That's 5 different energy types.
Yeah, we're probably never actually seeing that work unless it's like some kind of weird control lost at now.
Certainly not. Certainly not. Umbreon. The only reason people care about this Umbreon is because the SIR is bonkers.
Yeah. That's going to be such a good looking one.
It's going to look so. All of these SIRs
so
again.
Look
so good.
Low key, I think my favorites. I really love the Leafeon. I'm still super biased to Leafeon.
The Leafeon rocks. It looks very like, at least from this broken image that I'm looking at it looks like stained glass, and that's so sick.
I love that Jolteon. That Jolteon looks.
That's the same artist as Joltik and the Vantula. I know it. I can't even read the artist, and I know that that's the same artist.
Yeah,
and that's how you know you've made
style.
Cool art.
Yeah, it's so nice. It looks so good.
Let's see. What is that artist? Who is that? Marina Chigazawa. Yeah, that's who I'm looking at. Absolutely, like that's one of the cooler artists in the TCG right now. Just because, like, you can tell immediately from looking at that, like that is exactly who that is.
Yeah,
and they all just look so good. The Flareon is fine.
Yeah,
the Espeon is fine. The Sylveon rocks. Glaceon's pretty cool.
I'm kind of digging the Espeon style, but yeah, it's
maybe if I knew what was going on in the image.
They're all at least like good.
Yeah,
you know, they all look good.
They all look
at the very minimum.
All of these are $50 plus.
Yeah, exactly. Like, regardless of who takes a special interest or which one just ends up being the fan favorite, they all look good.
Spoiler alert, it's going to be Umbreon.
Oh yeah, I mean, everyone loves Umbreon.
We've got Moonbreon and we've got Sunbreon.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's going to be important. So yeah, it's gonna be up there.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Oh man, I mean, Pikachu tax is already crazy right now with Surging Spark. So
yep,
it'll be so interesting to see how this
Pokemon's got their favorites.
Mm-hmm.
What else is coming out in that set that like matters? Oh, Big Rod, Max Rod. Just
yes,
get a bunch of crap out of your discard.
It's Night Stretcher times 5.
It is Night Stretcher 5 Night Stretchers. 5 yeah,
is
5 Night Stretchers in a trench coat.
Good. like that's. I don't know. I think they're finally starting to print like A-specs
that are good
that you can use besides Prime Catcher.
Yes,
they've finally decided. Yes, we will print some A-specs you can use besides Prime Catcher.
Mm-hmm.
This is an A-spec I could see multiple decks using besides Prime Catcher.
I could see it being a reason that like Chen Pao becomes decent again.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my god, that chance to just get 5 water back in hand for 1 card, crazy. Yeah. That chance to reestablish your board because you lost a Chen Pao and you need another one for backup, right now.
Yeah.
Easy. And then 4 water to go with it so that you're swinging for what is that, 240? Yeah. Like, yeah. That's crazy good.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the Umbreon's attack.
Oh, yeah.
Discard all energy, draw 1 prize card. Pretty good.
It's
drawing a prize card is pretty good.
It's okay.
I don't think it'll be competitive, but it is ridiculous that you can just do that.
Discard 3 energy for 1 prize card is okay. Like,
sometimes it's discard 2 energy.
Good.
Because Crystal.
Ooh, Crystal. Sure. Okay. But even
you can Dark Patch to it.
Even then, it's okay. And the reason why it's not cracked is because you do this,
your opponent just knocks says, you out and takes 2 prizes.
Okay, I'm taking 2 prizes, and not, yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, okay, well, I could have like played a more meaningful deck and just taken 2 prizes.
280 is still hard to hit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not in the current Oko format, but like when things are actually playable again and fun again, 280 is a big enough number to kind of at least hold off for a turn.
Yeah.
So you're you could potentially get 2 uses out of this, especially like you Dark Patch to it. You can Dark Patch and attach, and you're good. You can actually play this with. Hold on a minute. Am I good? You can play this with Xatu. You can play this with Clairvoyance and Xatu.
Xatu has a partner? What?
No.
Xatu fits in a deck? What?
It always has. Xatu Drag was always a real deck. You guys are just haters.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
Nah. Trust.
I was a Xatu Drag believer for approximately 2 weeks and then quickly decided that it was not good.
Really? I stuck on that train for a while. I really like it. I switched over to the Pidgeot build because it just feels better.
Yeah.
But like there's certain matchups where I'm like, I would really wish I had a Xatu right now.
If I went back to it, I mean, in the current meta, it might be interesting, but I'm not a fan. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan. But yeah, outside of the EVs, the rest of the EXs are just bulk binder.
True.
There's
Even the
some,
Blaziken.
that's the only that's one of two, maybe three that I will defend. But I'll start with the Blaziken because on Justin Bezos' site it's at least the highest up.
Oh yeah.
But it's a stage 2. It is hitting. It's got 320 HP, which is nothing to sneeze at. Like,
Yeah.
there's not a lot that takes that out in one hit right now. It's got for two energy, one fire,
for
one
a fire and a
colorless,
colorless. You're doing 200.
200, and then it can attack, which is whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, 200 is good. We already know 200 is a good number
Yeah.
in general. And there's stuff
It could
that
be
works
better.
with that. We can modify it. It could be better. We can modify it. We can define its band. We can do some stuff with it.
You can
That
even just
ability-
vitality band and be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's
that's
Fez.
true. That's very true. But that ability, once per turn, attach a basic fire from your discard to one of your Pokemon.
Correction.
Like,
basic energy.
Sorry, yes, not basic fire, basic energy. Any kind of energy. Like, that starts getting into the territory of like, okay, we're looking at options. I mean, this is a potential Magma Basin replacement in some decks.
Mhm.
It partners really well with anything that's a big basic. It's so the sauce that I was thinking of with it after seeing Zach's build last night. This with the it's the Twilight Masquerade? No, Shredded Paper. It's a Koraidon. It's a Koraidon EX.
Ooh.
It's the Twilight Masquerade. Yes. No. Yes. The Twilight Masquerade Koraidon EX. For 2 fighting in a fire, I believe. Kaiser Tackle.
Oh, that is Temporal Forces.
Temporal Forces. Is that Temporal Forces?
280.
Oh, 280. Yeah. See, it's even because no one's been using it because
Bad.
it's hard to make work. Yeah, bad. But I could see this with it. I could actually see this with it. Right? This is like a stage 2 that you could make work with it. I tried messing around with that. I tried making that Infernape work with it, and the Infernape did not work.
Holy smokes. It just occurred to me that there are 6 Dino Cry Koraidon EXs. They printed that card a lot. Sorry.
No,
yeah,
you're good.
This one.
This basic energy attach from discard, like, I mean, attaching from discard is so much better than trying to attach from hand.
Yes.
Because like we all know it's better. You go with this, right? And you're talking, okay, one from the discard, one Sada, one attach from hand. Like, that's doing some stuff.
Yeah, it is.
And you've got a powered up basic Pokemon, 230 HP, which is whatever, but swinging for 280. Yeah, it's going to be easily in range of getting KO'd the next turn, but like, that's doing some stuff right there.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking, like, I think Blaziken could potentially see some play, and then
I'm
on
interested
top of
to see
that,
if it does well.
if we get some other cards in the future that work really well with Blaziken, like, I mean, obviously, like, that's up in the air for any of these, but I think out of all of these cards, Blaziken has the most potential.
I'd say so.
Maybe except for the Tapu Koko.
I think the Tapu Koko is really cool. I was saying that at first, and people were like, "Nah, that card's terrible." It's like, no, look at it again. Lightning colorless, 60 plus 20 for each of your benched. Yeah. I guess it caps out at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. What? Yeah, 2 times 8.
Yeah.
So 160. It caps out at 220, I guess.
Yeah. On an area 0, yeah, you're not going past 220, which is, but
it does have free retreat, I guess.
that after Raikou rotates, I think this is probably at least a good 1-up in Miraidons.
I can see that.
Free retreat.
I'm interested in seeing that.
Energy, like it just needs two lightning on it to go in for its move. So one generator could get you exactly what you need. On a full bench, you could be punching any of those support Pokemon. Mew, obviously, I mean, you don't even have to work as hard for like the Squawks and the Luminions.
Right.
Well, after rotation, but you don't have to work as hard for like the Luminion. But for the Mews, Fez, Ogrepon, all these, like, two 10s, two
Yeah.
20s. Like there's some play for this.
There's something to be said for that.
And I
Absolutely.
think I was hasty when I when I saw this, and I wrote it off as soon as I saw it. And
Yeah.
now I'm coming back to it because I'm like, okay, I think this could do something, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the second one. And then the third one that I had on here that was like, this is more of just a meme than anything else. Tyranitar. Grind 50 times damage, 50 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon.
That's good. That's
It's
better
good.
than that's better than
For
it is
one
bad.
colorless. For one colorless, it's very good.
Also, 340 is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, 340 is gigantic. And this could be fun if someone could figure out how to make the Tyranitar EX be good.
That'll never happen. There's no way.
It won't, but it would be fun if someone could figure that out.
I agree.
This goes hard with Scramble Switch, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
this goes very hard with Scramble Switch. Because you could just Scramble Switch something and punch for 250, 300, depending on kind of like how the stuff is stacked up and everything. I mean, this could be the thing about that being colorless is this could be in a deck where you're not using dark energy to attack. Like that's what's great about that, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it's meme potential at the
very
low
least.
ends of it, but I think someone might be able to find something for this.
There's some cool potential GLC cards in here as well. I know you don't play GLC, but the Tropius that says discard 1, draw 3 for a single energy is cool, and it's 110 on a colorless. I don't think we've ever seen a colorless Tropius.
Probably not. That doesn't.
I'm looking it up right now.
That doesn't seem like a typing for that.
There has never been a colorless Tropius card.
That's kind of cool.
There's been a metal one back in the day. It was a Delta species.
That's the Delta species stuff. Okay, yeah.
But that's
I do remember some of those. I even after I stopped playing.
Has there ever been a colorless Noibat too? Hold on. Because there's also a Noibat. Oh yeah, there's been plenty of colorless Noibats. What am I saying? And then what else was I looking at? That Hoot is bad. The new Hoot is bad.
Yeah, unfortunate.
That's bait. Don't use it. Where was the other one I was looking at that looked like a really good? Oh yeah, the new Oricorio. For Psychic looks cool because it's got Call of Her Family.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any other good Psychic Oricorios. There's like the Fusion Strike one where you search for a supporter. There is there's an anti Lost March deck, and then there's a Vital Dance search for 2 energy, and that's the only other Psychic Oricorio. So I think this is the new optimal Oricorio for Psychic decks.
That'd be. I mean, like I said, definitely as someone who hasn't really done GLC, I don't really know.
Sorry,
but
rule of thumb for if you ever do get into it, anything that has Call for Family, that's a good card.
I mean, I have already been respecting Call for Families cards in any like pre-release stuff. Like that's like anytime I get Call for Family out of a pack in a pre-release, that's an automatic include because it's so good. Like in a format where like you have very little search and a harder chance of getting what you want out. It's so good. Anything you can do to make that better. So yeah, I'm sure that's fantastic in GLC.
Yeah,
and it's nice to see like at least the intended like obviously like unfortunately you know TPCI doesn't really recognize GLC, which isn't fantastic, but it is cool to see that they print cards that if you're playing standard, if you're playing even expanded, you know, you're not really going to play in a deck. But
every now and then,
people playing GLC and people playing like Eternal format, things like that, you know, they'll be like, they'll see some of these.
This is so sick.
Oh, this is fantastic. This is exactly what we needed. And it's cool to see that come out.
I'm sure there's at least somebody at Creatures who like is aware of GLC and will like sneak one card into the set, into every other set, and be like, "This is for you guys."
There's a mid-tier employee somewhere in there saying like, here you go. This is it.
Yeah, this is all you get
for the GLC enjoyers out there.
Well, I like when they do that. It's nice to see at least a little bit of support for that, and you see that with like with just the way they created the new single price Terrapagos too, because they're also like they're not doing stuff that like really is stuff that is auto included. So and what I mean by this is they're that they recognize it a little bit because they're printing cards not that are included in GLC decks, but are printed and worded in such a way that if they weren't worded this way, they would be broken in GLC. Specifically the new Terrapagos, where it says you can attach to any of your Terra Pokemon specifically. Yeah, it's like, what is it, 3 for 1? I think?
Yes, I believe that's the case. Yeah, 3 for 1 colorless, attached to any Terra Pokemon in any way that you want. Yeah.
That would be gross if it didn't say Terra Pokemon.
Absolutely.
So like knowing that there's stuff in there about like
that would go into so many decks.
That would go into it would go into so many decks.
That would go into some standard decks, honestly.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah. Like oh my god.
Yeah, it'd be broken. So it's they haven't printed a lot that's like, oh, this is a really cool card that would be good in my deck. But it's cool that they're like, let me pull up the bumpers because if I don't, the GLC people are gonna freak out.
Yes.
I guess we got Joltik and Magneton, which are really good for GLC, and they have like kind of made waves and caused some bans, which some people are bummed about, and I get it. But it's cool to see when cards get new stuff for GLC as well as standard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of cards that are new-ish, and not exactly like groundbreaking, but are cool just for the novelty of it. I love that in these starter decks, we're getting specifically 9 different researches and 9 different black belts practices.
Oh my god, it's so cool. I love that like they're doing that with the black belts because it's they're matching like the region designs.
Yep.
For each of the black belts. I mean, I think my favorite was seeing the honestly seeing the Gen 3 one, and this is such a minute detail on like the Gen 3 black belt, but the Gen 3 black belt, I mean, he's doing like the high kick, which is like
he's kind of caked up too. What the heck?
Yeah, he's doing it, man. He's got dude. No, he is swole AF.
Yeah,
but no, he's got like the high kick, which is like what the Sprite had in Gen 3.
Oh yeah.
But then on top of that, Gen 3, I think, and I don't know if maybe it's just me misremembering it or just seeing this and thinking it, but I could swear Gen 3's black belt specifically didn't have these like white like white geese like the other ones have. Like
it was a little off white.
Like Gen 2. Yeah, it's like a off white like cream like bone, something like that, And I could swear it was like that in the game, and that this kind of matches that coloration. Like,
I love that
that's how like down to detail that I think it's going.
These arts go crazy because you can also pinpoint the exact location in the game where these characters are.
Yeah, exactly. Like again,
I know exactly where that. Yeah,
that's Mount Pyre right there. Like that looks so cool. You've got the fighting dojo in Gen 1. I'm actually
the Gen 4
Gen
one
2
is like
the black belt at the end of the was it around 29? Maybe I might.
I don't know exactly like locations, but you could find them. They're like you can go if you really wanted to put in the research and be like, oh my god, this is where the card is.
Exactly. They put them at every location that they should be at.
That's just like they didn't have to do that, but they did, and I love that they did.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's unfortunate that like this probably isn't going to be a playable card. Like,
I disagree. I maybe.
I
think you play a one of in Dragapult.
Yes. Okay, that's fair. I could see that because
that's a raging
yeah, that's
bolt.
fair because people did play Kieran, and I
do play Kieran because that card's bananas.
People play Kieran, so people could very well play this because they played Kieran. Because
fixing math like that is so important.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just it's so cool that they did that. And then same thing with like the oh my god, the professors too. We've got.
Have we ever had a Professor Birch research?
I don't know that Birch has ever been a research.
Has Birch ever been on a on a trading card?
I think there was a Birch a while back, maybe in like 2015, 2016, something like that.
Professor Birch is just the most generic looking. Okay, Professor Birch's observations. There was a Professor Birch. Those are the only two cards that have ever had Professor Birch on them.
So we finally got like,
or at least in the name,
Birch on a research. Named
Rebirch.
Named Birch on research. We've got Elm coming back finally.
Let's go
on a card.
So we've got Bear Research and Twink Research, and then
we've got Professor Kukui.
Yeah, and then we've got Twunk Research.
Yep. the only person. Oh yeah, Sycamore's on here too.
Sycamore's hype.
And the only professor not featured is Turo. They did not give Turo a card.
That's okay.
For this,
that's okay.
They were like, we need Sada again, and you know what? That's
the waifu
I'm
text.
Cool with that. Yeah, absolutely.
I respect it. I respect it entirely.
Absolutely.
I think it's so cool that we're getting one from every generation. Yeah, that's just a neat little detail.
I'm 100% grabbing at least one playset of Birch, just because I love Gen 3 so much.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a playset of Birch first.
I just need to get all of these actually. They're just cute. It's a cool little thing.
Yeah.
Oh, also Larry's Efficiency is in here. It's fine.
Yeah.
Discard your hand, search for a Pokemon supporter in basic energy, reveal and put it in your hand. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not very good.
Yeah.
And then what is this? Amorous, draw 4 at the end. Oh. No, that's still bad.
Interesting.
It's still bad.
I don't know. I think this could be interesting.
Draw 4, and then if you have 5 or more, you discard your hand.
If you have 5 or more cards in your hand at the end of the turn, if you have 5 or more,
you discard the whole hand.
Yes. I like the idea of like something like this, right? Because it's like you could have, if you have like a hand that is like 6, 7, 8 cards, and you draw 4, and you know that like you could play down this hand.
Yeah, for sure.
To like 4 cards. That could be something really interesting, I think.
Absolutely.
I don't know exactly where it slots in right now, but I think that could be something so interesting.
I'll tell you exactly where it slots in right now. Eternal Format Mew VMAX.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
That's like the only deck I can think.
For sure. Mew VMAX. Oh my god, Mew VMAX is just. It sees this and it's like, all right, let's go.
What's crazy is like I still don't think it plays it because it's like, what if I instead just didn't and played like a better supporter?
I mean, yeah, why play this when you could just also just boss return?
True.
You know?
But yeah.
There's
and then the last really important card in this set that has been revealed so far, obviously for those at home watching, listening, whatever, this is not the full list of Terrestrial Festal / Prismatic Evolutions. I don't think this is the full list, at least. I really hope not. It'd be very underwhelming.
They definitely have more to reveal.
There is a Badoo, which, by the way, I love Badoo. That's a baby. It is one of the baby evolution spiritual reprints.
Yeah.
Or like the baby Pokemon. Same way we have like the Elekid, we have Cleffa, we have Mime Jr. We have this Badoo that for
Magby,
True Smoochum. Free retreat and has 30 HP and then has a free attack. But this has the Itchy Pollen attack where it does 10 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, they can't play item cards from their hand.
It's so nasty.
That's gross.
Item lock for free is
turn 1.
Disgusting.
I can see this going in decks instead of Cleffa.
Yeah. 100%.
Maybe it's not draw 3, like draw your hand back up, but making it so your opponent can't rare candy Charizard or can't rare candy Pidgeot or can't like Buddy Poffin.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
I like being able to draw
so
into
good.
stuff. But yeah, being able to stop someone from playing the game so that I can have my next turn to set up more, that's better. That's always better.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
better every single time. Like, and there's times where you're gonna be like, oh, well, this hand is still dead even though I locked them out of items. It's like, well, yeah, I guess. But there's also gonna be times where it's like, I have a research in this hand, but I already supported this turn. So I have to let my opponent have a turn, but I'm gonna item lock them, and then next turn I play my research, I get a fresh hand, and then I go to town.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna happen way more often than people think it is.
I absolutely agree. This card is going to see play for quite a while.
A million%.
This is a card that is staying in rotation or it's staying in decks until it rotates out.
Yeah, for sure. And it's gonna stay in GLC decks forever. That's gonna be broken.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just so busted. I mean, it's free. It's free. And it's free retreat.
Free. The only downside is that it has 30 HP.
Yeah, I mean it's like,
but there's like nothing doing that. Like,
yeah,
if you're knocking this thing out, I would much rather my opponent knock this out than like a Charmander or like a Dreepy.
100%. Yeah, that's
a very good card. It's a very good card.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, pretty much.
We've kind of
people just look at this stuff and they're like, "Yep, that's a thing."
There's some cards lately that I don't understand what TPCI or Creatures is doing when they print them.
Yeah,
because like this seems too good to exist.
Yeah, I think, and
it's not necessarily a bad thing.
I think unfortunately, Dusclops, Dust Noir really more than Dusclops falls into that category of like, they might have cooked too hard when they made that.
I can agree with that. Fez too. Fez and Dippity as well.
Yes, Fez. Oh my god, Fez and Dippity.
I really think
the fact that like you can use that anytime, that you don't need it to be in the active or something like that. That's,
you don't have to be behind on prizes.
Yeah. Just there's no stipulation to it. It's just you lose a Pokemon, okay.
You draw 3.
Yeah, like you can force board states where that's a good thing, and then still benefit from it. It's like, oh no, I'm going to lose a prize on something that I'm expecting to lose a prize on, and my board state is already still really good, and now I'm just going to be making it better.
I want to see something. I want to see the percentage of decks that this card is in.
Oh, Dust Noir?
No, Fez.
Fez. Oh,
tell you what, I'll look at the top. So I'm looking right now at.
I mean, you could just.
I'm looking at the decks right now. Regidrago, there's 1 in 92%. Lugia, it's like the only one where there's not it's not an auto include. Raging Bolt, 1 in 99%. Charizard, 1 in 100%. Iron Thorns. Iron Thorns isn't real. Snorlax Stall, again, it's a very different and niche thing. Terrapagos, 1 in 100% of decks. Gardevoir. Gardevoir doesn't need draw power.
No.
Dragapult, 1 in 93.33% of decks. Palkia V-Star. Palkia V-Star is this high up? What the heck? 1 in 100% of decks. Like,
yeah.
It is as mandatory of an include as Battle VIP Pass was.
Mm-hmm.
It is as mandatory of an include as, like, I'm trying to think of the last time there was a card that was so good that it was in every single deck.
It has basically been in every deck, or nearly every deck, since it was released.
And it's bad design. And I don't want to end on like us griping about this card.
Yeah.
But it needs to be said that this isn't good for the game.
No, it's not, but it is where we're at, and I think with that in mind, a lot of the gameplay right now has to be like, okay, you have to plan for a bad board state, or plan for your opponent being able to make comebacks. So it's unfortunate that we're in that position.
It's not even necessarily
there's ways around it.
It's a comeback issue, because there's ways for it to have been a comeback mechanic and it not be this bad for the game. Mm-hmm. The problem becomes that because Pheasantipity EX exists, Iono and Roxanne are useless.
Yes. I mean, we had a good while of like Iono wars where Iono was, every deck ran 3 to 4 Iono, and when you had a bad hand or your opponent had a good hand or both, you just Iono. And
now I seldom play
you
that
threw
card.
your opponent. Yeah, absolutely, because it doesn't feel impactful. I feel more comfortable right now playing Judge than I do playing Iono. I actually feel terrible playing Iono right now, just because most of the time I don't really like. We're in a format now where it's like as soon as something hits someone's hand, it's not held; it's just played.
Yeah, you're not doing a lot of holding of cards.
Yeah, and so Iono just doesn't feel good because of that. You Iono them after, and you Iono and KO, and they just draw back into stuff, and they're getting further through their deck into things that they want to see. At least with Judge now, it's like, okay, well, I can guarantee 4 cards in your hand, and they may be something that you need, but they may not be. I may not put you into something that you need. And it's also the worst part, I think, about Fez really was the fact that Fez took the first ace spec we had that was a option outside of Prime Catcher, and it made it irrelevant. Like,
Unfair Stamp.
Unfair Stamp.
Why play
Unfair
it?
Stamp was fantastic when it was released. Like, fantastic, because we suddenly have decks that are like, oh, now I got to think about it. Do I want Prime Catcher because I want that, instant gust, that quick, like, turnaround, or do I want Unfair Stamp to make a comeback, and in a okay comeback mechanic, not even a particularly horribly overpowered one, since it was only ever a
Yeah,
one-up,
you could get out of it.
Yeah, exactly, and it could be played around, and it could be moved out of, and things like that. But now Pheasantipity just looks at Unfair Stamp and says, "All right, whatever."
I think.
Oh no.
Anyway, I think what we have to do as players is just, and this is gonna suck, but we have to start playing Lost City again.
Yeah.
And just gust that thing up and be like, listen, go away.
Yeah, Lost City of Fez. Get rid of it. Don't let people play it anymore.
It should be considered for a ban, I think.
It's I think
like I'm not a big
Fez.
I'm not a big banning guy. But if I was gonna ban if you had to be like, all right, one card out of the TCG right now, pick one card in the game, get rid of it forever, and it's banned.
Yeah, for sure.
I would pick that one expeditiously, and this is in the same format where Charizard EX exists.
Yeah, 100%.
I would pick Fez over Charizard, and anybody, like, if you know me, you know I can't stand that card. I hate that card so much.
Well, we're about to see an uptick on that one too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We got one more week, and then all the kids are going to start buying the League Battle decks, so...
That's okay. That means Prime Catcher costs go down.
That's true.
I can own a second one and stop rotating it between all my decks.
Right, exactly.
It'd be
I'm
great.
so happy about that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. No, that's... I remember maybe... I mean, I remember seeing, like, even a month ago is kind of when I really started seeing, like, well, let's talk about banning Dusk Noir discourse. And honestly, I mean, I get it. I can understand it. But I think there's ways to manage Dusk Noir. I think that Fez is much more worthy of a ban than Dusk Noir. And I really don't think, like, either one is truly, like, going to be banned in any sense, because you look at, like, the history of, like, bans and stuff like that in the
it
TCG,
never happens.
And it doesn't happen, and when it does happen, it's like something that...
It's like Chip Ice
turns
Axe.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. Like, it puts things into... Not just like the bans don't just happen for things that are busted. They happen for things that enable, like, the most degenerate strategies conceivable that, like, never let someone play the game, and that's what bans are for.
Lysander's trump card, Island Challenge Amulet.
Something exactly like Lysander's trump card is like a thing that just it's worth banning. Like,
Lysander's trump card gets rid of a win condition.
A game board reset is just a ridiculous card to have in a game. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! I think had that at one point when I was playing as a kid, and it was kind of the same thing. And it's like the only thing that, like, you get really reset is just or the only thing that's never reset is like the person's, you know, distance towards the win con in these games, you know. So yeah, like Lysander's deserved it. Fez doesn't do that. Fez just says draw 3 if something's knocked out, and that's never going to get banned.
No, unfortunately. But I mean, I lived through the Silver Tempest format. If they didn't ban anything in Silver Tempest, they're not banning Fez.
Right, exactly.
So I think then it becomes just on us as players to Lost Zone it as soon as we can.
Yeah. Find around it.
And when Lost City rotates,
make sure you have a way to KO it. Try to KO it early if you can. Punish people for playing it.
Start playing Greninja EX.
Honestly, big fan of the fighting
big
one. Big fan of Bennett Guardy, just because Bennett Guardy has the best like option for that, where it just says, okay, gust Fez up and then lock it in there with the gravity gemstone and start chipping away at everything else.
Yeah.
That's your answer to Fez right there, is don't take KOs until you can take KOs, and then make it hard for the person to come back. You know, that's the answer to Fez.
It's just it feels really awful to play against. Yeah, which sucks, but you know, it is what it is. There'll be a way for us to get back around it. When rotation happens, it'll be sad to see Lost City go, but I'm sure there will be another way that we are just able to deal with Pheasantipity at that point. Whether it's like maybe people start playing like Hand Trimmer or more Xerosic, or
who knows?
Maybe mill strategies become really good again. Like, I don't know. That's honestly, copium. Mill's never good.
They might even. I don't know. We got Durant now.
True, Durant EX, where you play it to the bench and discard 1.
Dude, Durant Penny. Let's go.
Durant Penny.
Durant
Hydreigon.
Yeah.
I'm cooking. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah.
No, it's terrible.
It is terrible.
Yeah.
That card could say, when you play it from your hand, bench like mill 3, and it would still be like, do I want to play this?
Yeah, exactly. It's unfortunate, man. Mill is such a fun. It's such a fun way to win the game, and it's terrible how like you just can't do it in Pokemon.
Sometimes you can.
You can. It's just not
the Reggie's Whiscash deck is really sick.
Yes.
Also, the Lapras Whiscash deck is really cool. But
I did pull a Mill out as a last resort win against a Draco player.
Nice.
Did a challenge. I did the I was on that Chiyu Armor deck, and he had 1 card left in deck, and I hit him with the Jealousy Stinge.
Nice.
And the dude was like, I didn't think about that. And he was like, I guess you win, man. And
rocks.
He had 1 prize left, and I had like 4.
Whatever. That's awesome.
It felt good. I then proceeded to like go like 1 and 4 that challenge. So.
Dang. Hey, well.
Yeah.
You had a good one, and that's all that matters.
1 mill win, though.
1 mill win that's still a mill win.
Exactly. Keeping it real for them.
So cool. Well, at least there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of change coming. We didn't talk about TCG Pocket at all. Honestly, we don't have to. It's nothing noteworthy, and we're coming up on like Schneider cut levels of length. So I think I want to start wrapping it up here.
I
understand that where we're at right now feels kind of strange, and we're all really itching for change.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited for what's about to come.
Yeah.
Because like I said, what we were talking about earlier with like the Japan meta and the way everything's shaking up, there's a lot of change coming, and it looks really cool. And it means that there will be a lot more variety in what you encounter. It's no longer just going to be like pick these 3 decks, and if you don't have these 3 decks built, you're gonna lose every tournament. Like, it's almost at a point where what was the format? I think it was like Obsidian Flames or maybe Paradox Rift, when you could just play whatever you felt comfortable with, and you can probably get a couple wins as long as you're a good player. I think we're starting to inch toward that kind of a format again, and I'm really excited to see what it brings.
Yeah, it's been nice to see like so much variety, really, more than anything else. Variety, I think, is like what's been driving the game right now. Like there's I mean, we look at tournaments and it's like well, I guess maybe excluding the control stuff, the dance.
Yeah,
but I think those were like meta calls.
Yeah, that's absolutely a meta call.
If you look at like just kind of like the stuff that was at the previous tournaments, I mean, you had like Louisville had the top 8 had almost a different deck for every single player. There were 2 Lugia.
You said which tournament was this?
Louisville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, top 8 except for Lugia. Lugia appears in top 8 twice. Everything else is different.
Yeah,
like that's healthy. That is a I think that's a sign of like healthy meta when you can have the 8 like best players at a tournament bring 7 different decks. Like that's good.
It's a great time.
You're looking at like a meta that suddenly is like, okay, this is anyone's game. This is open to so much, and I mean even afterwards, like
there's still variety like further down the roster too.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen so much like happening afterwards. We've seen so much happening like just in general. I think like the latest ones with like Gdansk, with like, maybe some of the more control focused metas and stuff like or archetypes creeping up the ladder, I think is a response to that a little bit, because they're like,
it's always good to have control in the meta. It's a sign of a really good meta is when control exists.
Exactly. And I think that's going to drive more people to say, okay, how do I beat control? You know, how do I start like playing around that? And I think maybe with some of these new cards now, we might see some interesting stuff with that. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
With what Surging Sparks is going to
bring. It makes me really hopeful.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah. So. Surging Sparks, because like you think about it, and at face value at first I was like, oh, this format doesn't really gain anything. It gets like Pikachu. But then I looked at it more and I'm like, no, there's a lot of really interesting stuff here.
Absolutely.
And
I think
it'll be exciting to watch. It'll be exciting to play.
Someone's gonna build a Pikachu deck. Someone is going to build a Hydreigon deck.
There's gonna be 4 builds of Pikachu probably.
You're gonna have there's absolutely multiple ways to play Pikachu. You're gonna have someone inevitably do the slacking deck. That slacking deck has multiple ways to play, like Pidgeot or Terrapagos.
Yeah.
Noctowl. Someone is gonna do that weird Tatsugiri build.
Yeah.
Someone is going to do Milotic in a control build. Someone is going to do Cerule Edge. Someone's going to do Archaludon. And then all of the other like decks outside of those.
Those are all like new decks. Tools. That's such a crazy thing to think about, is like that's a number of decks that you just listed. Those are all new decks per se. Not like control exactly, but like those are all new decks. They're not just like a tool. Like they're not just Pheasantipity that goes into every other deck. They're not just like Radiant Greninja that goes into every deck.
Exactly.
They are new standalone archetypes, and that is what makes me so excited about what's coming up soon. Makes me super excited for what did you say the next tournament was?
Next
the first one that
LAIC,
the first one that is legal in
Surging Sparks is
Sacramento. Yeah. Sacramento. It's gonna be so cool to watch.
I'm super excited for that.
Yeah,
for that tournament.
Absolutely.
Just because of that. I really want to see what the people who are infinitely better than me decide to bring to that and how they decide to play it. I'm really hoping that like there is someone who says, you know, oh, I'm gonna play Cerule Edge, and Cerule Edge turns out to like take it all or something.
That'd be so hype. That'd be so hype.
That's what I want. That's like wish list right there.
Yeah, I want to see somebody take coin flip Lugia with Porygon Z and take it to the end.
There you go.
That'll be it. That'll show up.
That would be so fun.
But like, I'm excited to see what's coming out of it. Lots of good new changes. Lots of incredible decks, and it'll be nice to refresh the format a bit.
Absolutely.
with that said, I think that's a good note to kind of wrap it up on.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot more of these 3-hour episodes, man. I
Oh man.
gotta start splitting them up into like bonus content. But
well, I yap too much, so
no,
sorry
I do too. I'm so glad, because sometimes I feel like every now and then I'll it doesn't happen often, but sometimes I feel like I'm pulling teeth to try to get people to talk, and it is a terrible feeling, because it feels like I never want to talk over the people I have on. I want to make sure that like they're saying everything they want to say and that they feel comfortable. So like having you be able to like really be like, no, this is what I'm excited about, and things like that, like, has really been a good time. I've loved having you on the show, man. I really appreciate you coming out for this.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this was so much fun.
Yeah. Where can the good folks at home find you?
Oh man, I don't actually have any socials that I really do stuff with.
Sure.
I'm very like social media averse, I guess, or like
understandable,
averse, but like just not super active. I keep telling myself that I will reactivate my Instagram, and so maybe
you're not missing anything.
Maybe if I do it sometime soon and start like posting, challenge and cup deck lists, I'll try to make that available or something like that. But
sure.
Yeah, for now, unfortunately, just kind of nothing. If you
for now, you can find Jonathon on stream at Sacramento Regionals in Top Cut with Cerulette GX.
Exactly.
Guaranteed. That's your next place to find him.
Yep, absolutely. Nah, if you really want to reach out to me, just I don't know, find me on like Facebook and shoot me a message or something.
Sure. Or I could leave your Discord in the description if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
cool.
Shoot me a message on Discord. Shoot me a message on Facebook. For my Discord, if it's gonna be in there, Discord goes under Johnny Sushi, and just go with it from there.
Will do. Awesome. All the links of mine are in the description as well. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And if you're listening on Spotify, be sure to leave us a good rating. I think there's comments on there too now. I don't know exactly how Spotify works. I'm still very new to this. But that's all we got for you. A little bit of housekeeping before we kind of call it a night. I'm still adjusting to my new work schedule, so these episodes you might see like a little bit of discrepancy in when episodes go live. Just because the process of like getting an episode set up, recording, and then making a thumbnail does take a little more time than I'm accustomed to. So I'm working on all the growing pains that come with trying to make better looking content for folks at home. So I appreciate your patience. But before too long, I should be back into a really good rhythm, and hopefully you guys appreciate that. But other than that, I'm going to try to have this up the weekend of November 9th. If not, it'll be up next weekend. So if you're listening from the future, sorry. But again, Jonathon, thank you so much for having on.
Yeah.
And everybody at home, Absolutely. Have a good night.
Yep.
Peace out.
Bye.